Driving a real race car is a dream I have since I can think.
I've been dreaming of being a racing driver since I'm a child.
Everyone knows how difficult motorsport is to get into.
Without any money, it is impossible.
My name is Jan Mardenborough. I'm living proof there's another way. I was a gamer, and now I'm a professional race car driver. We've been on a mission to find the next world's fastest gamer. We took 10 of the best racing gamers in the world to take part in a life-changing competition to see who can make the leap from virtual to real racing.
I feel like a rock star being here. This is every single one of our dreams.
Going from Macedonia to the States is like going from the Earth to Mars.
It was just like a dream.
Some of these guys, they've never been in a race car. It's time to face the fear. It's a one-time opportunity that's going to change your life.
You really had to get rid of the fear you have.
It was intense.
Getting in the car for the first time was a big moment.
You could feel the pressure.
Goosebumps, definitely.
Oh, that was incredible.
Living the dream.
The prize? To become a pro race car driver.
I expect them to have that killer instinct.
We've traveled to America's best, most exciting,
27.6.
What a truck.
and dangerous racetracks.
It's like driving a really fast tractor, like a tractor that wants to kill you.
If you blink wrong, that's it.
You'll push them to the limits.
It is make or break.
We are not in a video game anymore. It's real and it's dangerous.
You're here for a big prize. Go earn it.
It was clear, be fast or you're out.
Pure adrenaline.
I was high on motorsport.
For one of them, their dream is going to come true.
We've got 10 gamers and 10 days to find the next world's fastest gamer.
It's taken more than 700 years for ABK beer to be exported from Germany, but finally, we can all enjoy it. Brewed in Bavaria to the same exacting standards since 1308, ABK beer, awarded Supreme Champion at the International Beer Challenge, is crafted from only the very finest German barley, yeast, and hops, using the purest of alpine waters. ABK beer, 700 years of Bavarian tradition and heritage.
Hello and welcome yet again, our finale of the Rocket Triple Crown as we get the All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones into its final week in the crown jewel that is Le Mans.
Monaco, Indianapolis, and Le Mans. 3 tracks and 3 very different disciplines. Together, they form the Triple Crown of motorsport. Over the years, many have tried, and some have come close, but history has proven that Graham Hill remains the king and the sole victor of all 3 races. Tonight, we head to the world-famous Le Mans circuit, where since 1929, the road course has been motorsport's ultimate test of both man and machine, and has provided some of racing's most triumphant, tragic, challenging, and elating moments. This week, the Rocket Triple Crown will bring together the fastest sim drivers, the best real-world racers, and the biggest legends of motorsport, all together on the same track. Despite having left Monaco with 6 drivers still in contention, not one driver could repeat their success in Indianapolis. As such, the Rocket Triple Crown might be out of reach, but we still have 3 championships to fight for.
Look at that, he's so close. Oh, someone's upside down. It's absolute chaos.
In the aptly named Sim Masters, the best virtual racers from around the world will once again go head-to-head. While in the Pro Cup, stars Formula 1, the World Endurance Championship, Formula E, and IndyCar will aim to take glory. And the legends, icons of motorsports, will be back on track at the circuits they became heroes at. Drivers that have conquered the Le Mans 24 Hours, including Darren Turner, David Brabham, Mika Salo, and Fernando Alonso, will be looking to repeat victories they have enjoyed at this iconic venue. It's time to find out who will be victorious tonight in the Race All-Stars Series, powered by Rocket Phones.
As we get ready to get into things immediately, like we say, first time, we're going to have all 3 classes on track at the same time, albeit in different cars. We'll have the Sim Masters and GT3s. We'll get to that in a minute, in fact. LMP3s, LMP2s. We'll explain it as we go. We're going to get pretty excited as well, because as much as we said that there's not a Triple Crown contender still able to win it, Alonso came very close last week. More or less, this is about the championship, and there are double points for the final race. In fact, why don't we bring up the cars and track map for you now? I'm sure you all know Le Mans very, very well, but as I say, the difference this week being the fact that we've got different cars for each class, and it's kind of in reverse order of speed in theory, because the Pro Cup guys, they'll be in the middle in the LMP3 car, while the Legends have the advantage in an LMP2. And then the Callaway C7 GT3, essentially a Corvette, is what the Sim Masters will be in. Again, doesn't matter how the outright speed is. They're all competing for class honors. And we start with a qualification and a sprint race for each respective class. That sprint race will then determine the starting position for the 45 minutes endurance final. So tons to be had. We've got winners, as we say, the Triple Crown. Montoya's won 2, Alonso's won 2, but specifically this week, we've got drivers that have won at Le Mans. David Brabham has won outright in 2009 with Peugeot. Obviously, Alonso's won the 2 most recent class winners in Darren Turner, Jody Adams, Mika Salo. So we've got tons and tons of experience to get us underway. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see how 45 minutes and the concentration really comes into this, because we know in sim, the mental aspect of it can sometimes be extremely, extremely challenging. I'm going to be joined in a minute, of course, by Jack Nichols and hopefully Jolyon Palmer. I think he's just got an internet issue that we're trying to sort. But that said, I'm pretty sure they would both agree that Le Mans is the most unique challenge that we've had yet. And if Mons is the cathedral of speed, this might be the mecca of madness in a lot of ways. 24 hours is a lot to do in a race car. It flies by when we look at it in retrospect. But man, oh man, it's extremely difficult. Jack, I think you're on there with me now. This has to be one of the biggest challenges in all of motorsports, and always has been.
Yeah, it's such a historic race, isn't it? There was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire question the other week that was like for £1 million, I think. And what was the oldest motorsport event? Was it the Le Mans 24 Hour, the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indy 500, or the Isle of Man TT? So obviously the Isle of Man is not in the Triple Crown of car racing, but Le Mans has that level of historicness about it. And the grids ebb and flow. You have great years, you have weaker years, you could say, but whatever, the essence is there, the history is there, and it's a really, really impressive place. So really looking forward to seeing these drivers take it on a much longer lap than usual as well, which in theory will mean that qualifying times will be a little bit more spread out. But we've seen so often how close it's been. That theory doesn't always necessarily end up being true.
Well, and not only will the qualifying times potentially be more spread out, but you're going to have less chances because qualifying time means you're probably only going to get one lap in. So not only might they be spread out, you've got to be dead consistent. You've got to be super accurate to get things started. We're about to get into that because there is so much on the line today. Championships up plenty, all three of them still to be won. We'll talk about the standings in a second as well because there's been a slight change. We'll see in just a sec. Welcome back. All right, we've got things sorted. Jolene's internet's come back. Jack's lovely face has suddenly got its makeup on and ready for camera. So we could talk about, I know, I'm sorry. I got to throw you under the bus every week. It's got to happen at least once. We could talk about last week as well, because as we say, Triple Crown, we had Monaco. It was a bit chaotic. We had Indy. What a battle that was. The drafting, I think the Sim Masters race was exceptional because you had two drivers potentially going for the Triple Crown. And then, of course, the Button Alonso battle. We're going to look back at the highlights because there's a lot to talk about, and I want to get your thoughts afterwards.
We go green, and it's a good start from Montoya. And there goes Bradley Smith in the red car to the inside, to the outside there. Oh, and they're squeezed into the wall, and there's the big one. Tristan Vautier across the line to take the win. Oh, someone spun in the middle already. There's a huge accident before the race even starts. Engel gets a great run here, and he's going to slingshot past them both. He taps him, and that's huge. Checkered flag is waiting. Engel's got the draft. Engel pulls out. Yes, in front. Yefeyer takes the win. We get the green flag as we get underway in the Sim Masters.
Oh, Lucas Blakely out. Wisniewski caught up in that as well. Romanides was hit, and now we're losing cars.
Bit of a slide. Oh, Jajovski's got out of shape, and he's lost it, and he's wrecked. But it is Jernej Simoncic across the line to win an epic race. Oh, we got two more into the wall at the start of this one. Look at them all swarming over the line into turn one. This has been such good, clean racing, and as soon as I say that, we go three wide, and there's a bit of contact, a bit more contact. Kasdorp and Jajovski drive to the line, and it is Kasdorp. And there goes Montoya, very quick stop, and Montoya finds himself down in third place. He's up at the wall. Oh, Solberg hasn't seen him, and he spears across, wipes out Alonso, wipes out Peyo. Alonso's lost it all by himself. And the hopes of a virtual Triple Crown slip away, but David Brabham takes the win, and now the race gets underway.
Alonso drafting outside of Liuzzi. He's going to go inside of Coronel. He is. And Jenson Button might come with him as well. Alonso to the front.
Alonso spins. Alonso throws away the Triple Crown, and Jenson Button wins at Indianapolis.
Well, Jenson Button gets the last laugh in the Battle of Indy. Remember, in Season 2, we also had Indy for the Legends, and it was Alonso that took a double with a battle against Button. But, guys, that was a lot to look back at. I mean, like we say, it was very different. We had three different cars, three different tracks, and Indy might have been the most exciting in some ways, Jack, Mr. Oval over there.
Yeah, it was good, actually. It was a lot of fun. I think it was a new experience for a lot of the drivers. I think there's something about the online oval racing that makes it feel a little less realistic than some of the single-seater racing we've seen, or maybe what we've seen from Le Mans today. I don't know if that's because the sort of crashing and wrecking is such a big part of it that when that doesn't quite have the same impact, it doesn't quite have the same impact in terms of reality. But it was very enjoyable and some really great racing and some non-stop action. I'm expecting something a little calmer today, but I'm probably wrong.
That's an interesting point.
Into it last week, you were talking about wrecks instead. I was like, "What's happened to Jack? There's a wreck, man. There's a wreck." What was the other one? Drafting. They're drafting down the back straightaway.
Yeah.
Have you got some good French lingo for this one?
Oui.
Just to pick up on the point. Interesting to say, it might be that fear factor, the fact that, there isn't as much to risk going side by side, three wide at Indy. And I think in real life, you're right. There is a bit more to that. We're going to get into Le Mans in a second, though. We'll talk about the differences there because, as I say, there is many and there's lots to look forward to. We've got so much on the line with all three on track at the same time. Well, experience at Le Mans is one thing, but experience of doing it in real life is certainly another. We've got someone who's done just about every discipline in motorsport. In fact, he's raced all 3 races of the Triple Crown. Rubens Barrichello joining us again this week, which is an absolute treat.
Yeah, let's have a word with him now, shall we? Rubens, welcome back. Great to have you with us at the race again. Looking forward to Le Mans. You raced it a few weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did race the 24 hours. Actually, we got lucky to get back into the race because of the problem initially, but they saw that we had nothing to do with the fact that we got caught up in a situation. So it was lovely to race back because we did practice for a couple of weeks, and it's nice to be back on this car with the Brazilian colors now.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you hoping for today? Do you have any particular rivals that you're keeping an eye out for in the Legends Trophy?
I love everyone, man. It's just nice to have everyone around, and I'll give my very best trying to win the race. Obviously, I try. I know a little bit of the tricks since I've been testing, for the 24 hours, and force feedbacks and things like this. The car is well set up. So actually, I just sent a message to Hélio Castroneves just to tell him, because whenever you see someone struggling, they are so competitive is because they may have not tried the force feedback, because the car gives you a number and the steering wheel is so much heavier than normal. Then you got to drop it down and off you go.
Okay. Well, good luck for the race, Rubens. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
There you go, Matt. All the tech insight from Rubens Barrichello.
Tons. It's such a matter of feel, especially without the back end of the car really coming through the seat. Force feedback's everything. Like you said, tons of practice went into the 24 they did 2 weeks ago. He was Alonso's teammate. He'll be going against him here. Be interesting to compare some of the guys who did that race and who didn't this week, and maybe that practice pays off. Someone who's done this in real life and he's been an overall winner in 2009 is David Brabham. He's also joining us, and I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts on a virtual perspective, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, David won in Indianapolis last week. Now we return to a track, David, that you've won on in real life. You looking forward to this one?
I am. It doesn't actually mean that I'm actually going to do as well at Indy as I'm here at Le Mans, because I'm still trying to figure it out. I've not really been able to get much practice in, and I'm still trying to learn some of the tricks to get a really quick lap time.
Okay, and what do you think the differences are going to be compared to Indy last time? Like, it's such a different discipline, and I think that's why we're seeing the differences in this Triple Crown.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously we've had different cars. We're in the Orica P2 car, and that in itself is something that we've all got to get our heads around and learn. I think that the challenge for me is, you can do things in this sim racing that you can't do in a normal car. So it's just getting your head around what you can and can't do, which is sort of really pre-programmed for years of racing at Le Mans in particular. Coming here, I can do things I'm thinking, well, I can't normally do that. So obviously that might be quicker. So I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, best of luck. Thank you very much for joining us, David.
Thanks.
So much insight in terms of, again, the differences of feedback, the differences of sim. David comparing the fact that he's pre-programmed for years of racing, and it's very different now. You know what else is different? Having a 3D phone. You've got a chance to win one. Here's how.
If you'd like the chance to win a Rocket phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and tell us, what is the name of the former Formula One Vice World Champion who currently drives for the Rocket Venturi Formula E team? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to race fans on rocketphones.com right now, with huge discounts of up to 60% on selected handsets. Still want more? Well, we've got you covered. You can also receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones when you buy any phone. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER. This contest is open to all race fans, no matter where you live in the world. So why wait? Head to rocketphones.com right now to check out the deals.
Well, many of you will be familiar with Le Mans. Many of you may not have actually watched a full onboard. I'm sure most of you have. That's a lie. But it is a longer lap. It's about, I would say, 4 minutes, guys, for the GT3 cars? Just under that. We're going to take a look now. We may not even have time to show it all, but let's get started. We're with an LMP2 car.
My favorite onboard lap is, you can find it on YouTube, and it's Mike Hawthorne driving around it in the sort of 1950s, and it's still a public road, and he's just banging around in a I think it's a Jaguar or a Mercedes. It was really cool. Anyway, but this is the start of it as we come up to Dunlop Curve, and then the S's, and then onto Tete Rouge, and onto the first of the big long back straights, which is I think we're going to see a lot of drafting here, Jolie, and a lot of slipstreaming down the back straights.
Yeah, hopefully not any big wrecks like we saw last time as well. Tricky first section then through the Dunlop curves, and then this corner is critical, Tete Rouge. And then, as you say, Jack, a lot of drafting down here. Down the Mulsanne, legendary straight where those Mercedes cars flipped out back in, 97 or something? Just such a long straight. There used to be no chicanes, but now there's going to be some big braking zones to look out for down here.
Yeah, but it is always surprising when you look at a track map. You kind of look at it at the same scale as other circuits, so you think, okay, it's a long straight, but it's not a hugely long straight. And then obviously the whole track is 8.4 miles, so it's probably, well, it's at least double the length of most Formula One circuits. Spa is maybe 4 or 5 miles, isn't it? So it is very, very long, this Le Mans circuit. We're still on the Mulsanne Straight, the second section of it. And,
past the Hotel Arbor, where I used to stay when I used to go and drive for Dams in GP2.
Lovely. Have you driven Le Mans then? Or...
I've driven this part of it. Down
in a GP2
into,
car?
No.
Oh,
The Toyota GT86 on the road. Public roads, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, down into Mulsanne hairpin next. And now this will be an important one, especially with some variances in top speed between the GT cars and the prototypes, and then such a big stop down into Mulsanne hairpin, and then straight away back on the gas. Another really long drive past where Mike Rockenfeller had a massive crash in the Audi a few years ago as well. Another critical part up to Indianapolis and Arnage, and now we're into the final section of the lap.
Yeah, through the quick ride into the tightening left and the right-hander at Arnage in a couple of moments' time, and we'll obviously get to see a lot more of this Le Mans circuit as we get underway with the racing in the Race All-Star Series, the final round.
Well, again, we get underway with the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. And one thing we've got to do first, as I mentioned, despite that everyone is on track eventually in the 3 different classes together today, we start with sprint races, and that means the Pro Cup will take us away first. The LMP3 cars. We saw these cars a little bit earlier on in Series 1, if you don't remember. What was that, 8 weeks ago now, Jack? A little bit more. So we've got some familiarity, but not at this circuit, and it's a longer lap. We just saw part of it. This will be a very interesting race.
Yeah, we've got Oliver Rowland in there, Ross Gunn in there, Archie Hamilton, Beitske Visser, who was a guest on the Race Esports podcast last week, which you can, of course, download. But it's Agustin Canapino who is leading the championship at the moment. Now, Job van Uitert in second place. He's just finished a real-life race at the Nordschleife, so he's not going to be competing today. So really, it's Canapino, Dillman, and Rowland who are the 3 in contention. But to be honest, Yaya Fay and some of those other drivers in there aren't out of it, because it's double points for the final race. The final sort of 40-minute long race is double points. So there really is a lot to play for. But qualifying now is underway in the Pro Cup, and we're looking at Bradley Smith now dropping down in this Norma LMP3 that, as Matt said, we saw race earlier on this year at the Nürburgring and at NOLA. I think the pros were in these. No, they were still in the little 2 litres at that point, weren't they? But anyway, Bradley Smith coming through Sector 1. Long old lap, so it'll take a while for us to get a look at exactly what sort of lap times we've got. We've got Bradley Smith down there in the bottom left, and he's had an okay season, Bradley Smith. He's kind of always there or thereabouts without getting in the sort of big results. A podium in the second race in Monaco, but 2 DNFs mean he's down in 15th place in the championship at the moment.
Yeah, he's not quite managed to be in that top group, but he is, as you say, always sniffing at a good result, and he did manage to get a good one last time out. I tell you what, in these cars, this straight is going to feel long as well. They're fairly low powered with a bit of downforce, these Norma LMP3s. We saw that already in those the earlier series that we had. Really nice cars to drive. We had some good racing, bit of dirty air as well with them, but that shouldn't be much of a factor around this circuit.
Did it feel long, the straights in your GT86?
I'll tell you what it did, yeah. at the speed limit.
Oh, yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah, but I gave it some around Mulsanne hairpin. So it was like a good fun car, GT86. Don't have it anymore, but anyway.
Anyway, indeed. On board with Agustin Canapino, the Argentinian racer. He is just coming down to the Mulsanne corner now, through the hairpin right, and then out onto the straight towards Indianapolis and Arnage. I don't believe Canapino has ever raced in the real world at Le Mans. Famous last words, but I'm almost certain he hasn't. But he is the championship leader. 2 second places at Monaco and Indianapolis, and then in the reverse grid at Monaco he got a 10th. In the first race in Indianapolis he's got a 4th, so just very consistent for Canapino, who's been sim racing for an awful long time. Was racing in Formula Sim racing when I was commentating on it back in 2009, 2010 kind of period. So a lot of experience on the sim for Canapino, and he's showing it here by leading the championship.
Yeah, he's been strong. He's got quicker and quicker as well. And I think he first joined probably in these cars and was a front runner, and then became, well, the championship leader, favourite now, into this final day of action. So Bradley Smith into the Porsche curves now, final section, and then 2 chicanes coming up to complete the lap. And we're going to get soon a first look at who's on what level of pace. Long right-hander, quite narrow these corners. You can run a little bit wider there where it's a bit more tarmac, and then into the final 2 chicanes. Take as much speed as you can through the apexes. And let's see what times we're looking at. So already over a 3:30. Smith's taken a lot of speed in there. Oh. Huge amount of speed. He's got horribly out of shape. Too much through the first chicane, and he's got it quite wrong there at the end. And I think you can see the frustration on his face as well. Crosses the line, 3:48. Canapino a second quicker, 6/10 quicker.
Which is a bit surprising. It's only that much quicker considering that big moment for Smith. Here comes Ollie Rowland across the line. Rowland, who competed in the Le Mans 24 Hours a couple of weeks ago. He slots into second place behind Tom Dillman. Beitske Visser goes 13. Yaya Fay's in third. Ross Gunner's gone up into 4th position. So Canapino down in 5th place. Martin Plowman goes into 10th, but what a huge field spread, which I guess is to be expected on such a long lap. And these drivers are only going to get one look at it, aren't they, really? Because there's only a minute and a half left on the timings. On board with Arthur Rougier as he comes through the final couple of chicanes. He's had a good middle sector here. He's in with a shot of the front of the grid. Comes across the line, the Frenchman, and it's third. 4 tenths away from Tom Dillman in the end. Dillman, who finished second along with Jernej Simoncic in the Burst Esport by Collis entry at the official Le Mans 24-hour virtual race a couple of weeks ago. So certainly hooked up. And didn't he start on pole, I think, Dillman, actually? And got a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, but he'll be hoping not to do that today. And that is cutting a corner there, Adam Christodoulou.
And that won't count then for Christodoulou. But Dillman, he was quick in that the virtual 24 that was a couple of weeks ago, and he's on provisional pole now, and I don't think he's going to get beaten. I don't see there's any big guns yet to put in times. James Headley should get across no, he won't get across the line at all. So for the championship, that's quite big. You got Dillman and Rowland on the front row, and Canapino down in 6th.
And the grid for the second race of today will be made up from the finishing results of the first race. So you really need a strong result in race 1 to be in a good position for race 2. Here is James Headley. Now, he's on another lap, but he's not going to get time to complete it because there's 20 seconds left on the clock, and we don't run qualifying like in the real world, where if you've started the lap, you can finish. There's no mastermind here, as Headley gets a little bit loose out over the curves, and he's a second down after the middle sector anyway. But it is going to be then Tom Dillman that takes pole position at Le Mans for the pros. And there's a look at the Dario Franchitti LMP car that will be out a little bit later on in the Legends Trophy. But there we go then. Tom Dillman it is, who will line up in first place. Ollie Rowland alongside him on the front row. Arthur Rougier in third. Yaya in fourth. Ross Gunn fifth. Agustin Canapino only in sixth spot. So really interested to see what happens. Here's a look at the grid. Dillman and Rowland on row 1. Arthur Rougier on row 2 along with Yaya. And then you have to look all the way back to 6th place for championship leader Agustin Canapino, just ahead of Bradley Smith and Tom Ingram. Really interested to see what happens in this one. A 3-lap race, so we're looking at about 12 minutes or so for this one. So it's going to be it's going to be a sprint race. There's no doubt about it, because these guys are going to be pushing all the way through. Weitske-Visser's 16th. And one of the drivers has found their horn button, haven't they? So they keep giving that a little toot. Hilarious. I race in championships where the horn button is like absolutely banned. If you press the horn, you get banned from the series because it is that annoying.
Well, how do they know who presses it?
Telemetry. We're about to get underway at Le Mans. Dillman on pole, Rowland alongside him on the front row. The race gets underway. 3 laps of action begin. Rowland's got a reasonable getaway, a standing start for our races today, and Rowland might even be up into the lead than he is. So Rowland, the man from Barnsley, gets up ahead of Tom Dillman. Oh, but Dillman sends it flying back in, and surely he's going straight on. He is. Cuts the chicane, and just like in the virtual Le Mans a few weeks ago, Dillman has cost himself time at the start of the race. He's managed to recover into 2nd place, just ahead of Yaya. Canapino immediately up to 4th.
Canapino had a great start, and he made a lot of places just off the line there. Yaya actually, I think, came back round him at the first corners, but Tom Dillman then lost out. That inside line off the grid seemed to be pretty effective. Everyone that started 1st, 3rd, 5th has lost out, including Rougier as well. And 2nd, 4th and 6th have all jumped up a place, just with a bit of shorter distance around that arcing right-hander. And that's given Ollie Rowland the lead. And a Canapino here, a chance to pass Yaya already for 3rd place. But look at the draft. He's not going to make it. Now he's going to lose out.
Yep, those two are teammates with the Williams team. So interesting. Oh, and there's Rougier. Wow, Canapino just got away with that one. I think Rougier spun back in front of or was that not Rougier that went spinning? Was that Gunn that went around? So whatever, Canapino holds on to 4th place. Just Rougier is 5th. I think it was Ross Gunn that is the driver that got sent spinning further back. Here is Bradley Smith and Rowbottom going side by side behind James Pull as they come down the Mulsanne. But it is Rowland out in front, 0.8 of a second ahead of Tom Dillman.
Oh, we're all going in too hot. We're all going in too hot for the second chicane. And Bradley Smith cut the corner. And I think James Pull got away with that as well. It was 3 into 1, all for 6th place. And there was a spinner. And it didn't work out very well.
Rowland still leading, 0.8 of a second ahead of Dillman. Archie Hamilton now going to the inside of Martin Plowman. Plowman doesn't leave him any room, so he biffs him into the grass. And now they're coming into Mulsanne corner. Bradley Smith still there in 8th place. Plowman's going a bit wide, keeps it all together. Someone having a Larry moment behind. I think that was Archie Hamilton getting sideways. Now he's having to defend from the recovering Ross Gunn. This is on board now with Arthur Rougier, watching Yaya and Agustin Canapino swap places. Canapino gets up into 3rd spot. Rougier is getting the slipstream of all slipstreams now. He gets 1 place ahead of Rougier. No, he doesn't. Backs out of it there. And sensible stuff, I suppose, from Yaya. And I thought for a moment that in the bottom left that was a picture of a 2016 Jolyon Palmer on the wall, but it wasn't.
Archie Hamilton in way too deep at Indianapolis. He's going straight on. And lost a few places. Now Ross Gunn trying to make up for that earlier error on Martin Plowman. Does make it through, but the slipstream effect, the draft effect is just so big. Where every time we go on board, there's massive closing speeds. And remember, these guys are all in the same car. It's as if they're already racing with the GTs.
This is the replay of the start on board with Dillman, and he just sent it here. Look at that. And never getting that one stopped.
Tell you what, Rowland must have absolutely nailed his break point. I think Dillman, it looks to me like Dillman was just knew in his head he was just going to outbrake Rowland again. but Roland just got it spot on. So Dillman only braked slightly later, but he just flew into the corner, never was going to make it. And Roland's back through. 1.3 seconds the lead. He's still got some work to do. Dillman's staying with him.
Archie Hamilton was off again in the gravel trap. Here's Ross Gunn trying to get up into 11th place on Tom Ingram, but Ingram is robustly working. Martin Plowman has been given a penalty, but Gunn has made it through now up into 11th place. He'll be frustrated with that opening lap, Ross Gunn, because he has shown a bit of pace so far this season, but he's 16th in the championship, a best result of 8th in the second race at Indianapolis last week. So he's up into 11th now, chasing down Michael Benyahir. Onboarded with Tom Ingram in the top right as he tries to get ahead of Ross Gunn. And in fact may well do now. Those two continue their squabble. But in the main picture we're seeing Yaya Fay up behind Arthur Rogier. And there you see in the bottom left Rogier. And that's what I mean about that. Looks a bit like a 16 Renault, doesn't it? That he's got on his wall.
Is it a 17 Renault?
No, I presume it's him in a Formula Renault or something.
No, it could be me.
It looks like Macau to me.
Yeah, I think it's an old Formula 3, or is it a Formula Renault or a Formula 3 car? But forgetting that, Rougier's on the attack here, trying to pass Ye Yifei into the first chicane. Yifei's also got a slipstream from Canapino ahead, so that's not making it as easy as it might otherwise be for Rougier. And Canapino's not all that far from Dillman, so the gap's not really spreading out, and that is thankful to this slipstream that they're all getting. Difficult to get away.
Certainly is. Raced in Formula Renault Euro Cup in 2018 did Arthur Rougier as a Renault driver, so that's why it's got that kind of Renault E5. But I'm just trying to see where they raced that year. But anyway, we have got Arthur Rogier still there in 4th place. Yayafei behind. Ingram and Gunn going side by side again on the second lap of the race, but also the penultimate lap of the race. Roland's lead up at the front at the 1.5 seconds. So Dillman not really having an answer. This is a pretty commanding run from Oliver Roland up at the front. Canapino in 3rd, Rougier 4th, Yayafei in 5th. Paul Smith, Adam, Rowbottom and Benyahir, the rest of the top 10, and Ross Gunn doing a bit of bump drafting there, I think, with Tom Ingram now as they try to catch up with the rest of the pack that their squabbling has dropped them away from.
I'm encouraged by this. The racing, no one's getting away at all. Canapino is now pretty much caught up again by Rogier, who's now ahead of Ye Yifei in the battle of 4th and 5th. That's going to go on now down to Indianapolis. Really difficult part of the circuit to overtake on. Sweeping through the quick right, on the brakes, down into the left, and then a short blast up to Arnage. But look, Canapino is back in this gaggle. 3 white cars, 3rd, 4th and 5th. And Dillman not that far ahead of them either. He's dropping slowly from Roland out front. And he's at risk with a lap and a bit to go of getting caught by Canapino in this lot as well.
I reckon that's Mirabeau, I've decided, in the bottom left, because Rougier raced there in 2018 in Formula Renault Euro Cup. That looks like it's got a bit of Mirabeau vibe to me.
Yeah, but I did wonder.
Yeah.
But I didn't voice, so fair play.
Oliver Roland out in front. Here he is coming through the Porsche curves and towards the finish line to start his final lap of 3. Very neat and tidy through there for Roland. 1.8 seconds the gap to Tom Dillman. Behind Gunn and Tom Ingram still battling over 11th and 12th places. James Pull has just received a penalty, presumably for track limits. There'll be settings where if you go over the track limits at more than 5 occasions, then you will be automatically given a drive-through penalty. Oliver Roland sets the fastest lap of the race at 3 minute 46.882 as Gunn again goes side by side with Ingram and again is up into 11th position, but a couple of seconds adrift of Michael Benyahir in front, but he drops a wheel in the gravel, so Ingram's going to come back at him. Nice fight these two are having.
Yeah, good fight. Ingram now is going to have the shorter run up to the first proper corner, which is the chicane. Then he'll have the outside for the left hand. He might be clean through already, yeah. Through he goes, Tom Ingram. Past Ross Gunn. And nice place to do it because you've got a few corners now to try and break away if possible before the long Mulsanne straight. But yeah, a lot of nice battles all the way through the field.
There's Adam Christodoulou running in 18th position at the moment. And He cuts a corner on. He's happy though, isn't he? By the looks of things. And he's having a little chat with someone. So running in 18th place, but still happy. Ross Gunn looks like he's out of the race. So I think we've got a DNF there for Ross Gunn. So he is not going to have a good starting position for the race later on, where we're going to have almost 60 cars on the grid for a 40-minute race, which is going to be quite something. Did Christodoulou have no rear wing there, or have I made that up?
I didn't notice.
No, not at all. It was long gone.
So that'll be why he was struggling down in 18th position. Here's Ollie Rowland then down the Mulsanne on the for the final lap. James Pull is battling with Johnny Adam over 7th position. Adam moving across on him, wasn't quite room there. Through the chicane, out onto the Mulsanne once more. Rowland's lead 1.4 seconds over Tom Dillman. Canapino in 3rd. Adam has got the run here on James Pull. Dummies him, goes to the outside. But that's going to be a tough one to pull off for Johnny Adam, who won in the GTE class a few years ago, 2017, I think, for Johnny Adam. And he is still running in 8th position behind James Pull. But Rowland and Dillman, the two drivers, with Canapino in 3rd. It's basically a reverse of the championship order. Rowland is 4th in the standings, he's winning. Dillman's 3rd, he's 2nd. Canapino's 1st, he's 3rd. So it is absolutely a reversal for the top 3 in the championship, excluding Job van Uitert, who's not racing today. Here's a look at a replay of Adam Christodoulou. Okay, so this might be where he lost his rear wing. He's there behind Tatiana Calderon. Someone has a spin over there. Christodoulou, someone gets sideways. Calderon's stuck into the wall. Weitske-Visser now is in front, and she comes across and hits Christodoulou after he got hit from someone else, and there goes the rear wing.
It'd be quick down the straights.
Be scary down the straights. Oliver Rowland then into the final sequence of corners. He looks like he's going to book himself a place on pole position for the final race of the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. The Rocket Triple Crown. Rowland got a win in Monaco, didn't get a win in Indianapolis, but he is going to get a win at Le Mans. So close to the Triple Crown, Oliver Rowland, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad as he comes across the line, takes the win. 1.7 seconds ahead of Tom Dillman. I suppose more crucially, pulls himself closer to Agustin Canapino at the top of the championship. That's going to be a real thriller later on. James Pull is going to finish ahead of Johnny Adam, who puts a couple of wheels in the gravel coming out of the final corner. Daniel Rowbottom in 9th, and here comes Tatiana Calderon. 14th place for her as she, well, is it? Because she's getting pretty aggressive on Weitske-Visser, and I'm not quite sure, and I think she knows that was a legitimate move. So Calderon across the line in 11th place in the end after James Pull's penalty, but not sure that was a perfectly clean move there on Weitske-Visser.
It was, ambitious to make a lunge into that final chicane. Bit of a grudge match there between the two women in the field, and Calderon, I think, fairly unfairly, that's the wrong phrase, very unfairly, making that one count. But yeah, exciting for the championship then. Rowland, Dillman, Canapino, double points at stake for the big finale. That's going to go down to the wire. And Rowland and Dillman look really strong there in terms of pace.
Once again, Dillman converts a pole into a 2nd place at Le Mans, almost identical, but it just took him a lot longer to do it than the official Le Mans 24-hour virtual the other week. Ross Gunn, the only retirement, despite Adam Christodoulou losing a rear wing. Weitske-Visser there in 14th position, just behind Tatiana Calderon. We'll see whether that gets looked at by the stewards. Tom Ingram finishing 11th ahead of Archie Hamilton, who went off into the wall at various points, and a busy race for Martin Plowman and Adam Christodoulou and Ross Gunn completing the 18 races. They will all advance through to the final race, where they will go head-to-head. Well, not really head-to-head, in different classes and cars with the Legends and the Sim Masters. It is going to be the Sim Masters that we have coming up next at Le Mans. And really looking forward to seeing what happens. But Oliver Rowland with a pretty good drive, Matt.
Yeah, he's super consistent as well. There's some guys that are really fast in sim. Certainly, a lot of the pro drivers who maybe haven't been doing it as long, but they struggle with consistency. I was in a race with Ollie a few weeks ago, and he's super consistent over the course of just about any car and any track. So that's going to matter a lot in the 45-minute race coming up. You mentioned as well, Jack, we've got 60 grid slots. The only exception to qualification is all of the pros will get through, all of the legends will go through. The sim's a little different. So the top 3 qualifiers, which we're about to get to in a second, will make it in. The top 3 finishers, accepting the top 3 qualifiers. So if the top 3 qualifiers finish 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, and 6 then would make it through. And then the rest of the grid slots are filled out by championship orders. So it seems weird because I could qualify fourth and finish fourth and potentially not make it through, but it gives us the best championship battle at the end. So bit different way to do it, but kind of nice in case someone gets spun out or taken out.
Just a point on your point on consistency for Oliver Rowland. So he was the, well, we're going to speak to him now. I was about to tell you the story of how he's been a sim driver for a couple of F1 teams, and that's where consistency is important. But he joins us now anyway. Oliver, congratulations on your win at Le Mans. Talk to us about Indianapolis first, I guess, because you could have had the Triple Crown.
Yeah, I know. Well, to be honest, in Indianapolis, it was a bit of carnage. I was trying to stay out of trouble a little bit, and yes, both races, someone span and I hit them. So, a bit disappointing, but yeah, it was a good win today.
And yeah, what do you did you have to do much practice for this, considering the amount of laps you would have put in for the virtual Le Mans 24 a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually haven't. I've been quite busy in the week. I haven't switched my sim on until this morning since Indianapolis last week. So yeah, I jumped on this morning. I've probably done. Well, it's quite a long lap, so probably 30, 35 laps. This morning when the server opens, so not too much now.
And now you're in championship contention properly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's the situation there.
Oh well, you're close. I think Canapino still leads it, but do a good job in race 2 and you've got it. So good luck for then.
Thanks. I get stuck in.
When you consider the lap time, Julian, that's a lot of laps. 30 this morning. That's well over an hour or so.
Yeah, about an hour and a half, just over.
I threw you under the bus because I didn't want to do the maths live.
Some quick math. But yeah, he's good at getting up to speed. He was a Formula 1 sim driver with me at Renault, and he's quick on it.
Well, we'll see if he's quick enough when we get to the 45-minute race to potentially win the championship. Double points on offer. We've got the Sim Masters coming up.
So Matt, if I could just finish the little point you were saying about his consistency. When he started doing the F1 sim stuff, he would go in and he'd try and be as fast as he could. And he went to Williams for his first test and he was quicker than Bottas or matched Bottas or something. And he thought, yeah, I'm great. And then they called him up and said, that wasn't very good. You were really inconsistent. So he went in there trying to be the quickest. But what they look for is consistency. So he's been there at Williams, Mercedes, Renault. And he said on the Race Esports podcast that he's currently doing stuff for a current F1 team as well. And so that's, I think, where the consistency is so inbuilt for these simulator drivers, but not necessarily the outright pace.
And just to add to that too, I remember hearing something similar when Rudy Van Buren won World's Fastest Gamer 1 and went to McLaren. They said, we don't care about your pace in a sim. That's not going to win us races. They want the consistency so that they can get good feedback. If he's making mistakes, they can't necessarily get the feedback on what they're testing in that sim. So that's a good point. And well brought up too, because Ollie Rowland certainly has shown that. And it's interesting to hear that he didn't have that necessarily at the start of his sim career. So something he's had to improve on. We've got our obvious Sim Masters coming out. Now, this is different because Erhan Jajovski was dominant in the LMP3 in season 1. He's going to be looking and thinking, my goodness, I wish I was in that car. They're in the Corvettes this time around, Jack.
Yeah, I think just before we get into that, we can speak to Johnny Adam. He's a driver who knows all about these GT cars at Le Mans. The legends, that the Sim Masters are going to be driving, having won Le Mans in GT. Johnny, good afternoon. How are you enjoying this experience at Le Mans? How was that race?
Yeah, it was good. Good fun, quite different in the LMP3 car. And the tow is massive. So as long as you're in the pack, it's good fun pretty much. But yeah, to do extra laps at Le Mans is always good fun. We done the 24-hour race there 2 weeks ago with Aston, but this car is quite different on how it rides the curves, how it drives. So it's taken a while just to get used to it.
And how we haven't really spoken to you a huge amount during this the Race All-Star series. So apologies for that on our side. How have you been enjoying the whole championship as a whole?
Yeah, it's been good. I had a few weeks off, but overall just enjoying just using the sim pretty much. I'm quite new to it, but in lockdown, obviously, we've been using more and more, obviously, of the sim just to keep ourselves sharp, etc. But the racing's good. It's fun to race against fellow competitors that obviously we're up against in the real game. But yeah, it's really enjoyable to try different cars, different circuits, and yeah, it's all good fun.
Okay, great. Good luck for race 2.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I guess interesting with Jajovski is obviously he'll be wishing he was in the LMP3. Johnny, being a GTE winner in 2017, might be wishing he was in the GT3 Callaway that we're running today, the Corvette. So everyone's in a little bit different machinery. I do think it's going to be interesting to see the pace comparison, I guess, Jolyon, when we get into the final race, because in theory, the Sim Masters still should be pretty rapid.
Yeah, well, they're exceptionally quick drivers. We've seen that over like the last 15 weeks, but they'll be in the slowest machinery. So we're going to have a bit of an offset. Really, the pro drivers and the legends should be quick enough in their respective cars, but 60 cars on the track for the final with various paces. It's going to be really interesting to see.
And a close table as well, Jack, when you consider the double points on offer today in the second race. There is still points for the sprint race. I should make that clear. And it's your friend in first, Jack.
Yeah, Liam Duval there in first position, but he didn't compete in either of the Le Mans races, I don't think, neither the VEC or the Le Mans 24 Virtual. Not sure about Muhammed Patel, to be honest with you, but certainly Yuri Kasdorp was very impressive. He won, in fact, the VEC Le Mans race earlier on, so we'll see what he can do here.
Welcome back again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. It's time for the Sim Masters, a bit of GT, a little more of me, I think, a little more argy-bargy. We'll see if it is, because the first race was pretty clean. The action was actually quite good, Jack, all the way through. We did see one rear wing go missing, get dislodged, but this might be a little bit more competitive, maybe more consistent. I don't know what to expect with the Sim guys.
I think it's going to be super close. I think that's the main thing, because you look at the list of the drivers that we've got here. They've all got huge experience in Le Mans, in racing overall. We see Erhan Jajovski there. You've got Yuri Kasdorp, who, as I say, won the VEC Le Mans 24-hour race. Jordi Zviers was Kasdorp's teammate there. Risto Kappet and Erhan Jajovski were third in that race. Alen Terzic won in the LMP2. And Jan van der Heijden, in the bottom left there, he won the Virtual Endurance Championship Le Mans race. Not the official Le Mans 24-hour, but the Virtual Endurance Championship race in GTE class. So I think Jan van der Heijden is going to be one to keep an eye out for as well. Then we've got Muhammed Patel, who's second in the championship standings. We're going to need to see what he can do. And the same is true of Lucas Blakely, because he's only 19 points off Liam Duval in the lead of the championship. So really interested in this one. I'm interested in them all, of course, but I think there's quite an interesting level of complexity to this competition in the Sim Masters.
Yeah, and Van der Heijden was obviously one of the Monaco winners. Again, there is no Triple Crown contender left, but we've had some incredible battles among these guys. We'll see how it goes, because qualifying is on track, and we've got the rumble of a loud V8.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as soon as we turned to have a look at the Italian Manuel Biancolilla, that the sound is just marvelous. 6.5 minutes to go in the session. They're going to be mostly on their outlaps at the moment as Biancolilla comes through the final couple of corners and out onto the start-finish straight again. Didn't take part in Indianapolis, had a 30th and a DNF in Monaco, so it'll be difficult for Biancolilla not to get his best result of this Triple Crown this season, as the former F1 esports racer comes down into the Dunlop curve and then into the chicane, and then up to the S's and through Tete Rouge and out onto the back straight. This is Jernej Simoncic, though, who finished second with the Bicolis Burst Esports team in the official Le Mans 24-hour virtual race a couple of weeks ago alongside Tom Dillman. So I guess he and Simoncic are going to be relative favourites, although, of course, in that race they were in the LMP cars as opposed to the GTs that Simoncic is at the wheel of now.
Yeah, first time we've seen these GTs in action, suitably at Le Mans. And Simoncic has been quick pretty much the whole way through. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates. He's been really a single-seater specialist predominantly, and this is as far away as you can get from that. Low grip, reasonable power still, but a lot of drag. So compared to the more slippery prototype cars, they'll be a little bit slower on the straights as well. And so it's a big challenge for these sim racing experts.
Keep an eye out on Alen Terzic as well. He was the fastest driver in the GTE class at the virtual Le Mans 24 Hours 2 weeks ago. So we'll keep an eye out on Terzic too. He also won in the Virtual Endurance Championship LMP2 race as well. So Terzic a bit of a expert. Kevin Siggy is out in his Corvette as well, and he has not had quite the season we would have expected, and he's off. Is that Siggy off?
That
into the wall, and he's not going to set a qualifying time.
That was a bizarre one to me. That looked like he just went straight. I don't think that may have been actually a technical glitch, perhaps, because he certainly just seemed to be online. Everything looked composed, and then suddenly he's in the wall. I just want to make another point about these cars. Jolyon was talking about, obviously, the straight line differential. If you watch these guys under braking, if I'm not mistaken, this is the heaviest car that the Sim Masters will have been in over the entire 15-week period that we've been doing this. So that does change braking the most.
Yeah, absolutely. There is Erhan Jajovski. My point on Siggy was going to be that he's only had 1 points finish in the 4 races so far, which was a 3rd place in the reverse grid in Monaco, a 12th, a 15th, and a 16th are all that he has to show for the rest of the season. As we see Erhan Jajovski, who is down in 19th place, the Macedonian, only the 2nd place finish in Indianapolis was his only points of the season as well. They've been so unpredictable, the Monaco and the Indianapolis rounds, that no driver has scored points in every single round, and you only have to finish in the top 15 to achieve that. So I think that shows you the level of difficulty and just the pure level in this Sim Masters section of the competition.
And I think a huge difference from the start of when we did this series, when we did have 7 different winners, I think, from 8 different races, but there was still a lot of consistency among the front runners, and there was kind of a group we always looked to. A lot of these guys have been doing a ton of sim over the time, and you got to wonder, burnout could be a factor. Are they not focused as much on one challenge or one discipline? But you're right, there's just so many skilled drivers that a small mistake or a lack of practice can cost you that many points against someone who's been putting in the time.
Here is Erhan Jajovski into the final sequence of the lap now. As we said before, everyone will only get 1 lap at this. You see Jajovski working pretty hard at the wheel there. It looks like he's got a curved monitor setup, but he's not using the left-hand one as we look at it, unless that's just the interior of the car. He shakes his head and goes second, Erhan Jajovski. Nikodem Wisniewski is up at the top. Nuno Pinto slots into 3rd position. Jernej Simoncic goes up into 4th. Here's Alex Siebel. We're watching Alen Terzic slots into 4th position, 0.7 of a second away from Nikodem Wisniewski. And he's bouncing over the curves, coming through the final 2 chicanes. Where is this going to put Siebel? Very neat and tidy through there to the naked eye. And Siebel goes, well, quite see, 12th. Lars Brugman now across the line. Yuri Kasdorp goes up into 4th place. Petr Berliak is 5th. Dawid Mroczek into 6th position. But really, those top 3, Jolyon, have got a huge advantage over everybody else. From 4th down to 10th, there's nothing between them. But the top 3 have got a sort of a half a second gap, really.
Yeah, 3.5 tenths from 3rd to 4th. It's not huge, around 3 minutes 53 of lap, is it, to be honest? But yeah, we're so used to these guys all being separated by nothing. Just the longer lap length means that the gaps will be bigger, like they were in the Pro Cup race as well. Let's see what David Greco can do through the final corners. He's your second favourite, isn't he, Jack? The old-timer David Greco. And what's he going to do? Not jump up too high. Really competitive field, this, though. So much depth as well. It's anyone that's great in the top is absolutely on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Jordi Sveers, who has gone out a little bit later than everyone else. He's not set a time, and I don't think he's going to set a time here. Am I missing something? Because there's only 30 seconds left on the clock, and he's at least well, he's well over a minute away from finishing the lap.
Yeah, he's not going to get it in, is he? He's gone out too late, or he's on a second lap and just not particularly rapid on his first. But
it says no time on the bottom right. So unless he had a spin and reset to the pits or something, I don't know.
Yeah, bizarre. That's a mistake that you wouldn't expect these guys to make. But you're right. Check flags out. Sviers is near the end of the lap, but he's still not. He's not going to make it. 40 seconds.
No, it goes away. So Jordi Sviers, who won the VEC Le Mans race, is going to be starting at the back of the grid for this one. Really tough for Sviers, but it is Nikodem Wisniewski that will be on pole position. Where did Duval qualify? I didn't see him out. So we'll have a look at the full order in a couple of moments' time. Duval, Patel, Kasdorp and Blakely are the four drivers up at the top of the standings, and we'll see where they start this race in a few moments' time. Again, it'll be 3 laps for the GT cars. Nikodem Wisniewski will start on pole position, ahead of Erhan Jajovski alongside of him, Nuno Pinto third, and Yuri Kasdorp then in 4th position. He's the first of our front runners. Peter Berliak is in 5th position, Dawid Mroczek in 6th, Alen Terzic 7th on the grid ahead of Jernej Simoncic. Jan van der Heijden is in 9th place ahead of Risto Kappet, with Dennis Jordan and Michi Hoyer completing the top 12. Then we have got Muhammed Patel in 13th place, Alex Siebel 14th, Mike Epps 15th, Kuba Brzezinski in 16th spot, Peyo Peev in 17th, 18th for Gergo Baldi, Manuel Biancolilla in 19th, David Greco in 20th. And I'm now wondering whether, well, we'll keep an eye out for Liam Duval. Maybe he's not even racing. The lights go out and the race begins. Nikodem Wisniewski gets away fairly well. Jajovski slots into 2nd position. Pinto gets up into 2nd place, though, as this huge grid of cars comes charging down towards the Dunlop curve and the chicane for the first time. Wisniewski out in front, Pinto 2nd, Jajovski 3rd. Berliak up into 4th place now. Simoncic now back up into 4th place ahead of Berliak and Kasdorp, Terzic, Mroczek, van der Heijden and Kappet, the rest of the top 10.
Berliak just ran a little bit wide at that chicane, and that's given them a bit of a break, the top 3. Jajovski losing a place to Pinto off the line, but the top 3 just about escaping slightly from 4th place and Peter Berliak. But now let's see the slipstream effect. Onto the Mulsanne straight, and now this is where this should be pretty huge for these cars. Punching a big hole through the air, and long straight with big braking zone at the end. Here we go for the lead.
Nuno Pinto in 2nd place, going for the lead. You can see he's wearing his Formula E t-shirt that he was sent as part of racing in the Formula E Race at Home Challenge. Nice piece of kit. Got one of them. He also got a hoodie and a little cap. Lovely stuff. But it's Nikodem Wisniewski who is holding on in front at the moment, ahead of Pinto in 2nd, Jajovski 3rd. Now, Yuri Kasdorp in 3rd place in the standings has dropped down to 5th at the start, but he's still up there in the battle for big points. And worth making the point again that it is the grid, the race result for this race that will decide the grid for the second race. Terzic, we're on board within the top right in 7th position, trying to get ahead of Jernej Simoncic, but he's not quite able to do so as they come through the second chicane on the Mulsanne straight now. Wisniewski still out in front by 0.4 of a second. Pinto following him. The top 3 have made a bit of a breakaway to Peter Berliak in 4th.
And it's important, actually, they don't fight each other too much, because if they can break away just a little bit longer, then Berliak will be out of their slipstream, and it'll be a top 3 race to the flag, you'd have thought. And look how close they are. Wisniewski looking back at Pinto, and then Jajovski, the 3 of them, all separated by 0.7. And then Berliak with his mirrors full of Yuri Kasdorp and Jernej Simoncic, 2 of our fastest drivers out there. That's going to be a tough job for him to keep them back the whole race. But yeah, the top 3, look, they're breaking away very slightly, and if they can keep doing that, then that'll make the next couple of laps much easier. The slipstream is just so big.
Wisniewski, Pinto, Jajovski, the top 3. Then it's Yuri Kasdorp in 4th. Looked like Simoncic got past Peter Berliak to get up into 5th position, and actually Alen Terzic has followed through as well. So Terzic up into 5th, and Kasdorp ran a little bit wide, so Kasdorp up into 4th spot. It's worth pointing out that there's 100 points on offer for the winner of race 2. and Liam de Waal at the top of the standings at the moment has 130 points. So pretty much everyone is, well, basically, there's 150 points on offer today, so everybody is in championship contention, technically. Obviously, that's not real, but, you know, we could have a big swing today as Nikodem Wisniewski continues to lead, 4 tenths ahead of Pinto, with Jajovski behind, and then the gap back to the Kasdorp, Terzic, Mroczek, Van der Heide, Kappet, Jourdain, Brzezinski train. Then a bit of a gap from Brzezinski to Mike Epps in 11th position as they come towards the end of lap number 1.
Berliak and Simoncic got into each other at Indianapolis, and that's why they've... here we go. This will be why then. That is Yuri Kasdorp taking 4th place. Simoncic, I think, is now on the inside. There he is. Oh. And bam. Very difficult to go through side by side. And really quick corner. Simoncic completely alongside Berliak. Berliak turned in. Simoncic, just with the natural momentum, ran a little bit wider. And there we go. Out of 5th and 6th. And championship wide open, but no longer for these two. He made a hash of rejoining as well, didn't he, Berliak?
Yeah, big damage on the front of that Callaway Corvette. So second lap of the race, Nikodem Wisniewski out in front still, and he's managed to gap Nuno Pinto a little bit. Pinto and Jajovski still the rest of the top 3. Then you've got Kasdorp and Terzic, who are right together, but they may well try to work together to close in on the top 3 in front, potentially using the slipstream down this Mulsanne straight. We're on board with Jan van der Heide in the top right, running in 7th place at the moment, the Zansho Simsport racer, as he goes past Dawid Mroczek and moves up into 6th position then. So van der Heide making a bit of progress up the order, but it's still Nikodem Wisniewski who is out in front. Now, what has his championship been like so far, Wisniewski? Scrolling down to even find him in the championship standings. Yeah, he didn't race in Monaco and had a 24th and a DNF in Monaco. So, sorry, in Indianapolis. So it's not been a good season so far, but this will bang him in with some big points, with de Waal not scoring well, neither Kasdorp, neither is Patel, but Yuri Kasdorp is. Now we're on board with Pinto, up behind Wisniewski for the lead on lap 2 out of 3 as they come through the chicane and out onto the Mulsanne straight down towards the kink and the hairpin again.
Let's have a look at this slipstream then for Nuno Pinto. He's gaining quite a lot then on Wisniewski, but then is he going to go for it here? He's very close, or is he just going to bump draft Wisniewski and not go for the move, hold it back for the last lap? That's exactly what he's doing, I think. He doesn't want the lead of the race just yet. The slipstream is so effective that definitely Pinto could have gone for a move there, but they're just playing the game, the top 3, trying to break away from Kasdorp and Terzic, who are doing exactly the same in 4th and 5th. It's teamwork right now. Not so much for Jan van der Heide though. Top right corner, Mroczek is going to slide up the inside on this long straight. This culminates in where Simoncic and Berliak came together in this quick right-hander, but I think van der Heide has already lost that place.
Worth pointing out, bump drafting not allowed, and I think we saw Terzic and Kasdorp swapping places, so they are sort of doing the slipstream thing legally, but the stewards will be looking at it if you are bump drafting. Lap 2 out of 3, Wisniewski leading, Pinto 2nd, Jajovski 3rd, and then it's Terzic and Kasdorp in 4th and 5th, not really closing in a huge amount. Here's Michi Hoyer looking back behind to Daniele Haddad. Haddad goes to the outside, but can't make any moves there, as we have a long line of Corvettes. There is Liam de Waal, so he's in 20th place then. The championship leader, Liam de Waal, in 20th position at the moment, so it's not going to be a big haul of points for the championship leader. I think we will see Yuri Kasdorp go to the top of the standings after this one, going into the final race. Haddad, under a bit of pressure there. The GPVWC car, is that Adam Maguire looking to the inside? He's under a lot of pressure here, Haddad, but he's holding on to that 24th place at the moment.
Kasdorp's lost out to Terzic, so the man that is surely going to be in serious command of this championship.
I think they're doing their swapping. I think they're the teammates swapping while slipstreaming, I believe. I might be wrong, but I think that's what they're up to.
Yeah. 7 tenths behind now, though. So, I mean, they may well swap back, but they're not massively catching the lead group, and Terzic has come through. So we'll keep an eye on it, but regardless, it's looking good for Kasdorp in championship context, because this man, Liam Duval, is struggling down in 20th place, and he's on the back foot again with Peyo Peev looking to the inside of turn 1, but that'll be the outside for the chicane. That'll be a tough move.
So Liam Duval ahead of Peev. And, oh, my apologies, the endurance grid is set by the qualifying session. So my apologies, I thought it was the race results of race 1, but it is just basically going to be the same grid again for the endurance race. Jajovski is ahead of Pinto and up into second place then. So Erhan Jajovski has got up into second ahead of Nuno Pinto. Kasdorp and Terzic swap places again. So Kasdorp back up into 4th, Terzic into 5th. But Wisniewski leading, but he's got 1.3 seconds now to Erhan Jajovski on the final lap. So I'm not sure that final lap charge is going to come for Jajovski or Pinto. Another penalty for Kevin Ryan. I could have sworn he got one earlier on. Peyo Peev, the Bulgarian in the bottom left, has got ahead of the Dutchman Liam Duval and up into 21st spot. Up into 20th spot. Duval down to 21st. Siebel into 22nd. But on the final lap of the race, Jajovski's come down to under a second to Wisniewski now, but those two a little bit too far away, I think, from Nikodem Wisniewski.
They've had a little scrap amongst themselves, haven't they? Pinto has lost out to Jajovski, but in doing that, the gap has opened up to Wisniewski. So it's worked out perfectly for Nikodem Wisniewski, and the main overtaking area has gone. It's well, one last chance into the hairpin, but there's no chance Jajovski's going to be close enough at 9/10. He's just got to keep it clean now for a few more corners, and that battle for second seems to have worked out perfectly for Wisniewski.
So championship leader Liam Duval in all of that has slid back to 23rd position. Nikodem Wisniewski out in front though, 0.8 of a second up the road from Erhan Jajovski. Oh, Peyo Peev getting involved as they come into Mulsanne corner. Here is Jajovski and Pinto though right together, so the battle for second place is very much on. And or are these two teammating it as well? I think they are. So Pinto back up into second position, where he's basically, Pinto, been for the whole of the race. And they're not able to get up to Wisniewski, and they are getting a bit caught here by Terzic and Kasdorp, maybe a little bit too far away. Here's a look at a replay of Terzic and Kasdorp, running in 4th and 5th. Are they bump drafting? No, so they are swapping places legitimately, and that is Alen Terzic and Yuri Kasdorp, the two teammates swapping places. And I think they're still going to be a little bit too far back to challenge Pinto and Jajovski. Nikodem Wisniewski, all on his own here, has driven away up at the front. Really, really impressive drive from Wisniewski.
Look at Terzic, really, really close to Jajovski. There's only a chicane left. If he goes for a Tatiana Calderon move, he might make it, but it's not looking like he will from there. But good driving.
But here's Nikodem Wisniewski into the final chicanes, and he is going to get a good haul of, oh, a bit of a slide there, but he's going to get a good haul of points as he comes out across the line. Oh no, there's chaos at the back. Terzic is up into 3rd place. Kasdorp in 4th. Was there contact between Terzic and Jajovski? Because Jajovski now is not going to come. I think he's buried in the gravel, Erhan Jajovski. He's not going to be in 8th place. Has he come across the line? I think he might have done now, yeah. So Erhan Jajovski comes across the line in 8th position. Maybe there was a bit of a Calderon at the final chicane. Wisniewski takes the win. Here's what's happened.
Right, so for 3rd place, Terzic. And he's not going to do that. Oh no! Oh dear. That is not even a do or die. It's just a die there for Terzic. Well, in fact, really for Jajovski. Never on, and he just stuck a nose in, knowing that Jajovski would turn in left. Not the smartest of moves. Here we go on board. Better view of it. Super quick through the first chicane, and then that is not an acceptable lunge in anyone's book.
No, that's really bad form from Alen Terzic. Here's a look at the results after the 3 laps of racing. Nikodem Wisniewski taking the win, Nuno Pinto in 2nd, Alen Terzic in 3rd. But Wouldn't be surprised if Yuri Kasdorp gets promoted up into third spot, which will give him an even stronger handle on the championship in the Sim Masters class. Jan van der Heijden climbs up into fifth place with Dawid Mroczek in sixth position. Dennis Jordan seventh, Jajovski eighth after that collision. Kuba Brzezinsko ninth, and Risto Kappet completing the top 10. But yeah, quite the move there at the end. Mike Epps finishing in 11th place. So Muhammed Patel finished in 14th spot. Kevin Siggy 17th. And yeah, Liam de Waal well outside the top 20. And it is going to be the qualifying for the one qualifying session that will give us the grid for the main endurance race later on. So as a result, Liam de Waal will start down in the 20s again. Adam Maguire it was who was fighting with Daniele Haddad and managed to finish in 26th place ahead of Biancolilla, Pawlowski. Lucas Blakely, fairly quiet race from the Scot, a man who was looking like he was going to have a chance at winning the Triple Crown, but only 29th here after getting wiped out in Indianapolis a week ago.
I'll tell you what, a cynic might say that Terzic there has just done the perfect team job for Kasdorp. He's basically, surely he's going to get a penalty. He's wiped out Jajovski. Kasdorp, instead of finishing fifth, in one moment is third, and he was already looking good for the championship. But with that moment of utter madness from Terzic, he's suddenly third.
It feels like it could be the only explanation, to be honest.
Well, and I was thinking if Terzic had finished in third, he's a bit ways down on the points. That would get him into the final, but a penalty pending, that changes it. So he's still got to battle and figure it out. We're going to get that in a moment, but first we've got to get ready for the Legends. I'm excited for that. Yeah, questionable move at the end. Certainly one for discussion. You're right. It might be teamwork for Kasdorp. Either way, Terzic and Jajovski's punto is secondary to Nino Pinto, who's actually ready to talk to Jack right now.
Yeah, let's have a look with Nuno. Nuno, congratulations. A good race for you. We thought you were going to try and take the win, but not quite quick enough.
Yeah, I did a good first two laps, and on the last chicane to get into the third lap, I made a small mistake. I lost the momentum, and Nico could pull away, and I couldn't catch him. I gained a lot on the last lap, but it wasn't enough to get
okay, but you must have you must have confidence going for the endurance race now that you can get another good result.
Yeah, for sure. I always felt comfortable with the car and the track, so yeah, I'm gonna do my best to get a win.
Cool,
for sure. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
Sorry, he was really quiet in my ears, so I kept thinking he'd stop talking, and I was like, oh well, and then he was keep talking. So sorry about that. I feel a bit rude, Nuno.
Every time on an interview, Jack. Every time. You know what has better
next
sound?
Week you can do him. You can do him next week.
All right, fine. Next week. Okay, sure. I'll call into that thing you're doing next week, and I'll do them for that. How about we'll talk about that later. First and foremost, maybe I can call in with a good new phone, and maybe Rocket can give me one if I win this competition.
Good.
If you'd like the chance to win a Rocket phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and tell us, what is the name of the former Formula One Vice World Champion who currently drives for the Rocket Venturi Formula E team? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to race fans on rocketphones.com right now, with huge discounts of up to 60% on selected handsets. Still want more? Well, we've got you covered. You can also receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones when you buy any phone. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER. This contest is open to all race fans, no matter where you live in the world. So why wait? Head to rocketphones.com right now to check out the deals.
In fairness, Jack, I will take some of the blame today for misleading you at the top of the show and saying that the sprint race finishing positions would be the starting positions in the final. That was me. I was the one that misled you. It is the qualification positions, which is good to know as well for a number of reasons. One is there was not a lot of time in qualifying, so you got to be pretty spot on and pretty consistent with your lap. And second is it gives people a chance who might have got involved in contact to still have a good start position, Jolien. And we know over 45 minutes, even if you didn't qualify high up, it gives everyone a chance. Everyone at the back is still going to be able to attack over 45 minutes, hopefully.
Yeah, it should be, yeah. And the likes of Erhan Jajovski, who was just fired off there in that race, he qualified in the top 3. He'll be back for the final, starting back towards the front. So I imagine there could be an element of revenge for him coming up. But as you say, 45 minutes, it's just going to be a bit more of a waiting game, be consistent. And it's just important to stay away from any early chaos.
The tightest championship, arguably, that we have right now is the Legends, Jack. When we left last week, Alonso had the lead. However, Alonso had a laundry list of penalties applied for contact, rejoining, all sorts of things. So Juan Pablo Montoya, Mr. Consistent, second in 3 races out of 4 so far in the championship, now leads over David Brabham. Considerable penalties applied. Obviously, Alonso's lost something like 20 points almost.
Yeah, so it's Juan Pablo Montoya who's at the top, 10 points clear of Brabham. And like you say, Alonso's a little bit adrift, but he loves the old Le Mans 24 hours, doesn't he? So we'll see what he can do this afternoon.
Well, the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones gets to its moonlight moment, maybe. The Legends are on track in the Rocket Triple Crown, and we've got many drivers that have experience not only in the real world in Le Mans, obviously winners in David Brabham overall and Fernando Alonso, but you've got the virtual Le Mans 2 weeks ago that a lot of these guys put practice in for. So it'll be interesting to see how guys like Rubens Barrichello and Alonso, who are respective teammates, get on in this, as well as Juan Pablo Montoya, Jack.
Yeah, well, I think like we heard from Oliver Rowland earlier on, he he didn't need to do a huge amount of practice for this because he did so much a couple of weeks ago, and I think the same will be true for the drivers that did do the Le Mans race. Great to have Rubens Barrichello back. He won last time he was with us. I think he only did 1 race in the Race All-Star Series, if I recall correctly, but he won it nevertheless. And then he took us outside, didn't he, on his iPhone onto his lovely patio veranda thing. So that was lovely. Hopefully we'll get a trip out there again because I enjoyed that. But yeah, interested to see what happens. I think there's a higher proportion of mistakes made in the Legends Trophy, so that could spice up the racing a little bit more. They have a little less consistency than maybe the Sim Masters and the Pro Cup drivers, but I'm really looking forward to it, basically.
Yeah, well, a point to make there as well, because in this race, that's fine. They can go about their own business. You make a mistake, sure, the track's all yours. But when we get into the endurance race, if a few of them are firing off here and there, they're going to get mixed in with the traffic of the LMP3 and potentially the GT3 cars, which will then start to be a factor in those races as well, where the consistency is there, but the pace isn't. So certainly an interesting dynamic to consider, Jolyon.
Yeah, from what we've seen the last few weeks, it would be quite a scary position being a championship contender in the Pro Cup or the Sim Masters, starting behind all the legends with the propensity for first lap smashes that we've had. They've got better through time, but they've still had their fair share of pile-ups. But yeah, that's part of Le Mans, isn't it? You've got to avoid the chaos, make your way neatly through the traffic, and these 3 guys for the legends are going to be the ones to watch out for with the championship at stake.
Yeah, and the double points on offer as well. Alonso may have given up a lot to penalties, and perhaps rightfully so. We did see a few maybe trivial moments last week at Indianapolis, but anyone can win. Like you say, Jack, in theory, there's 150 points available today still.
Yeah, we could see a huge swing in the championship. We'll have to wait and see what happens, really, because as you say, we got these 2 races coming. So I think the first one will be kind of a sighter for these drivers, with the second one being up for grabs. I'm interested to see how much they will all mingle in the third endurance race as well, because I don't think we're going to have enough laps to get full-on lappery, but I think with them all sort of starting at the same time, we might see them in the mix with each other in the early stages.
Well, consistency, I think, is a big part of that when we get to that race, because you might have people tripping up and then traffic might be an issue. Qualifying's on for the legends. Montoya is who we jump on with first.
Yep, here is Juan Pablo Montoya. Then coming underneath the Dunlop Bridge and down the hill through the S's. And then out into Tête Rouge onto the Mulsanne Straight. There you can see Montoya really working pretty hard there, isn't he? As he comes out onto that back straight. And I feel like he's got a very reclined seating position, I feel, compared to some of the other drivers who sit fairly upright.
That feels like a new seating position for Montoya. We've seen him a few times, but now he seems like he's in a real single-seater slouch back sort of mode.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, actually. So, oh, a bit of a shout for Montoya there as he makes a bit of an error, but he's still done a reasonable first sector, has Juan Pablo.
Something we've not considered, guys, just on that seating position point. Maybe this is actually Juan Pablo's, because if they both race in the next race, one of them's got to be in. Maybe Sebastian's not going to be involved, so Juan Pablo set things up a little more for him.
Yeah, I think you might be right there, because I don't remember seeing Seb Montoya in race 1 in the Pro Cup. So I think you might be absolutely spot on there. I'm always surprised, Matt, how many sim rigs are really quite sit-up straighty, and even some of the drivers that are getting them now, I don't know, they're all in kind of a GT racing position, which really surprises me.
Yeah, and there's lots of different options out there. I don't want to go too far on a tangent, but obviously each company offers both either Formula or GT setups. The other thing I've noticed as well is seating position. David Brabham on screen right now, his arms are quite bent, 90 degrees. Whereas when we see, and I know that this can be misled by camera angle, but when we see someone like Jenson Button in previous weeks, he's almost reaching for the wheel. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that is the difference between a sort of a Brabham, who is a kind of GT man, and Button, who is a single-seater man, as a very broad stroke.
It's true. The seating positions change so much from car to car, and I spent the most of my time driving a single-seater. But if I ever hopped into a GT touring car, something like that, or a GT86. No, I normally had that back in single-seater position. But if I ever hopped in for a lap or two in a touring car or something, it feels so weird. You feel like you're like a bus driver sitting right up at the front of a really heavy, tall vehicle. But of course, for the likes of David Brabham, dog in the background, that might be distracting. Let's hope not for a man that's in championship contention. But for the likes of some of these older guys, even in Formula One, if you just take that, the seating position has changed so much over time to be more sort of slouched down, almost lying down in the car now, whereas they used to be sitting a lot more upright.
It's always funny when I get in a car with John Watson, whenever we're doing we pick up the hire car to do some GT race somewhere, and he is lying back in full F1 driver position, like driving this estate car on the road. It's rather funny, really. Here comes Montoya across the line. He goes second, 1.8 seconds slower than Rubinho. Rubens Barrichello on provisional pole position. Andy Priaulx slots into second, 1.4 seconds adrift. Here comes David Brabham through the final chicanes and out over the line. Brabham goes 7th, just ahead of Tony Kanaan. Petter Solberg 9th, Coronel 10th, Soper 11th, Castroneves and Dominguez the top 13. And I think we're seeing that inconsistency here with the Legends drivers. They're not this far apart on pace, I would suggest. But can they get it done over one lap? They don't quite have the consistency of the other drivers. Now, what's happened here with Alonso? Is he going to get a lap in?
No, unless he can blitz the field by a good 30 seconds, he's not going to be getting this in. So that's a curveball. And look, he's done the fastest first sector of anyone, but he's left the garage too late. He's not going to get round in a 2-minute 40 lap. So this is it. This is just a practice lap for Alonso. He'll be starting both races from the back.
I wonder if these drivers, because this is the first race where you have quite explicitly got only one lap in it, but quite a lot of time in it, if that makes sense. It's 6 minutes to do a 3.5-minute lap. Maybe, they're sort of not quite aware of the rules, and they're going out in a normal real life session. This would be fine for Alonso.
Yeah, but he's been racing with us for long enough to know the rules.
I think his teammate must have parked in the pit stall for too long or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Not to get controversial.
Well, let's have a look at a replay of Alonso. So has he already been out to try and set a lap and make a mistake? What's going on here?
That's a quick way through the second chicane.
Unless that was him on his out lap trying to cut the corners to get around as quickly as possible. So not sure what's happened here with Alonso. but I think he's going to be starting at the back of the grid.
Yeah, I think you're right. I bet you that was an outlap because that looked absolutely deliberate to keep flat out and just desperate. He knew he was up against it.
Like Abu Dhabi 18.
Yeah, he's got previous, hasn't he, for cutting chicanes, and he's done it again.
Well, 30 seconds left on the clock. Don't think Alonso is going to get this lap in, and I think it will be Rubens Barrichello that will start on pole position for the Le Mans race here in the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. Obviously, the YouTube chat is now going mad with he cut the chicken, but there we go. As Peyo is coming through the middle sector, he's not going to get time to finish this lap either. So Barrichello on pole, Peyo second, Montoya third, Servia fourth, Chanduk fifth, Jourdain sixth, Brabham, Kanaan, Solberg, Coronel, the rest of the top 10. And Dario Franchitti there, we see his car, the Big Machine Vodka entry, not racing, but he is watching. He's just sent me a picture of him watching on a nice big television, actually. So good evening, Dario. Sad you're not racing. Here's a look at how the grid will line up for the Legends Trophy. Rubens Barrichello on his return takes pole position. Andy Peyo second on the grid. Karun Chandok starts in 5th spot. Michel Jourdain in 6th position. Brabham in 7th. Tony Kanaan in 8th position. Then we've got 9th for Petter Solberg, 10th for Tom Coronel, and Steve Soper is in 11th position ahead of Hélio Castroneves, Mario Dominguez and Fernando Alonso. Maybe he just wants to do it from the back. Maybe he thinks that's, maybe he enjoys that. But of course that will be for both grids. So he's going to have his work cut out here if he wants to win this title. A reminder going into this race that it is Fernando Alonso, Juan Pablo Montoya at the top of the standings, 10 points clear of David Brabham, 16 points clear of Fernando Alonso. The Legends Trophy race at Le Mans begins now. Very, very slow start from whoever we're on board with there. I think it was Jourdain. Barrichello doesn't get away. Montoya and gets up into 3rd ahead of Servia in 2nd position. Chanduk now gets up into 3rd spot, and Oriol Servia takes the lead. What a start from the Spaniard. Oh, Barrichello's hit him. Barrichello and Servia contact to the chicane, and Chanduk leads. Karun Chanduk out into 1st place. Servia is 2nd, Montoya is 3rd, Barrichello is all the way back into 4th place, Servia almost getting back ahead of Chanduk now. Andy Peyo is in there, so Peyo it was who made the bad start from the front row. Chanduk in front, there he is with the mural of Alain Prost up to his right-hand side, our left-hand side, and he's out in the lead, Karun.
And that's because Barrichello, it was an ambitious move on the inside of Servia. But then, I have to say, Rubens held such a lovely drift to not actually spin, as did Servia. And they're right back here, fighting with Karun, and Servia on the outside. Looks like he might just about do that. On the brakes for the first chicane, and round he goes. Into the lead, Oriol Servia. Cut the corner, though.
On board here with Andy Peyo. Juan Pablo, Fernando Alonso's up to 6th already, behind his title rival. And Peyo pulling out to try and get ahead of Chanduk as they come down the Mulsanne straight, but as soon as he pulls out, he can't get it because Chanduk gets the slipstream from Servia. Peyo gets out of shape. Barrichello's there in 4th. Alonso's going to try and make a move on Montoya for 5th position. The 2 championship leaders bang wheels. Montoya slides off, I think. He might be cutting the chicane. Chanduk's in 2nd place still. Here's Andy Peyo. And they all come back on together, and Alonso slots in behind Montoya. So he cut the chicane, but he slots back into 6th position. And we're only on lap 1.
Yeah, there was Montoya moving across slightly in the braking zone, and they just had a slight contact. And it was Alonso that shot across the chicane, but he's back in there, 6th place again. And look, Barrichello now on the attack of Andy Peyo. And this is going to get very, very spicy on this next straight. Really difficult to go too wide, and the slipstream effect again seems big. Servia is just edging away. Chanduk and now Barrichello passing Peyo.
Oh, close your eyes here, because Barrichello's getting hit from behind, and Montoya's in the middle of a 3-car pileup. Rubens Barrichello is upside down. It's a huge accident for the Brazilian, and it is now Montoya trying to go to the outside of Alonso, but he outbrakes himself. He's going to end up in the gravel. We're on board further back with David Brabham now, who's trying to get past Alonso, who is up into 3rd place behind Karun Chanduk in 2nd, and Oriol Servia, and all of this continues to lead.
Yeah, Montoya there was going for a gap that was just, you said it was just scary. That tiny gap at these speeds wasn't really on, and then he darted to the other side. We're getting a replay of what surely was a jump start from Alonso. It certainly moved before anyone else. Either no one else saw the lights, or Alonso was well ahead. He made a few places before anyone else had even moved. So that'll be interesting to have a look. But Jourdain had a really terrible start as well. So maybe there was an issue with people missing the lights, because that would be a strange mistake for Alonso to make. But yeah, he's got a break there, because 3 car wide into on that straight down towards Indianapolis, which was never going to happen. Oof! That was Jourdain then gone. Bad start and then bam.
So. Oriol Servia leading as we start lap 2. Karun Chandhok ahead of Fernando Alonso. They're side by side. Alonso gets on the curb. They're both round. Alonso and Chandhok collide. Alonso somehow manages to recover and doesn't lose too. He's still in 3rd place. There's a reason they call him Teflonso, isn't there? Nothing sticks to him at all. Karun Chandhok has dropped down to 8th in all of that, but Alonso's still in 3rd, just ahead of Petter Solberg, who was 5 seconds off the pace in qualifying.
And in all of it, David Brabham, the other title contender, who started, I think, down in 9th or 10th, is up into 2nd place. The Le Mans legend is he's flying there up into 2nd. Oriol Servia is now running away with this one. But yeah, Solberg's got Montoya just behind him though. We're looking at Alonso going away in the distance. Montoya is about to fly past.
So, lap 2 of 3. Here is Montoya. To the inside, onto the brakes. Job done on Petter Solberg. And up into 4th position now, chasing down his title rival Alonso. Once again,
2nd, 3rd and 4th for the 3 title contenders now.
Yeah, absolutely. Brabham, Alonso and Montoya. Montoya's having to work hard to keep Petter Solberg behind. A little scratch of the head. Hopefully he hasn't broken his head. Montoya as Solberg pulls alongside him down into the chicane. And more, Montoya holds on round the outside. Nicely done.
Scary one to turn in there with Solberg having a nose on the inside. He's just waiting for Montoya to get turned around. But he needs to clear Petter Solberg and try and chase the next 2. But again, the slipstream effect is big. He's having to defend down towards the hairpin. Takes the inside line, and Solberg will do well to go all around the outside here. And he's a bit earlier on the brakes as well. Montoya's got that one sorted. And now he needs to try and get away. But bit of gravel there. That'll hamper Solberg's exit. But he's got another long straight now, a curved straight, to try and get back in that toe.
Lap 2 of 3. Brabham and Alonso, nose to tail. Alonso to the right-hand side of Brabham, uses almost the slingshot of the slipstream to get in front of the Australian, and he's up now into 2nd position. 2.6 seconds adrift, though, of Oriol Servia, which is going to be tough to get back on the last lap. Here's a look at the replay. Was this a jump start from Alonso? No, I don't think it was. Just a great one.
Yeah, many drivers just very slow away, and Alonso's reactions were good. He needed to, from the back, make up some places. Now he's up into 2nd place, 2.5 seconds behind Oriol Servia. A lap and a bit to go. It's a long lap, though.
Yeah.
How quick is Servia? Can he stay ahead of Alonso, who's been so fast since he joined the series?
Oriol Servia, I don't think has won a race in the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones in this Triple Crown element that we're in at the moment. He didn't take part in Monaco, finished 5th in Indianapolis last time out, but now the IndyCar racer had a couple of years in Formula E, took a pole position in Putrajaya, Malaysia in Formula E, I think in season 2 for the Dragon team, did Oriol Servia, and he's always got his fire on, hasn't he? Which I presume it's not real, because that feels unnecessary.
It doesn't look real.
And has he got racing on the TV behind him? Or is that just, that's just the reflection of his monitor, isn't it, above the fire? You see what I mean?
No, I think that looks like an aesthetic fire, but lovely aesthetic.
No, lovely aesthetic. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think he's gonna have to work really hard to win this, because Alonso's flying 2.5 seconds in a quarter of a lap is now 7/10, and Alonso's gonna have the slipstream down the Mulsanne straight, which we're at now. Servia's driven great. The gap to Brabham is now 4 seconds. He's cleared away from everyone, but Fernando Alonso's on another planet here.
Certainly is. Serbia in front. Steve Soper's been given a penalty. Chandok is out of the race now as they come down the Mulsanne again. Through the right and the left. Alonso's going to be right in there. Serbia's going to be starting to feel the pressure from his compatriot. Down towards... Here's a look at the slipstream. Alonso closing in. And this is going to be the move for the lead. Fernando Alonso hits the front. Onto the brakes. Into the left and the right. And Alonso is through. Serbia will try and stay with him. Alonso goes... He just carries so much speed through there. I thought for all the world he was going wide and onto the grass, but he still is there on the apex, on the exit.
Quick, isn't he? He's just quick. Yeah. He's started that corner from the inside, and I think he still went through there quicker than Serbia. And that's no disrespect to Oriol Serbia, who is really holding his own or even quicker than those behind. But Alonso is just on another level right now. Absolutely happy with the car, dancing on the edge. And he's taken 2.5 seconds of gap past Oriol Serbia and gone in 3/4 of a lap then.
Oh, and that's what took Chandok out of the race. A crash. On board with Oriol Serbia. He's going to get the slipstream though one more time. Down towards the kink at Mulsanne. And then into... But he's not going to be able to apologies, they're up at Indianapolis now, and he's not going to be able to get the move done, is he, Serbia? Even on this final lap, he's super close, but Alonso surely is going to hold on and take this win. A big smile on the face of Serbia, just 0.4 of a second between them, though, on this final lap. It's not totally over, but Alonso's going to be, I'd be surprised if he makes a mistake.
Yeah, it's an absolutely superb effort from Serbia to try and come back at Alonso here with the help from the slipstream, but he just wasn't quite close enough to make the lunge, and now Alonso's broken clear again. He's going to take a win from the back.
So Fernando Alonso down towards the final 2 chicanes for the final time in this first race. We've got an endurance race coming up a little bit later on, but Fernando Alonso comes out and for the 3rd time in his career wins at Le Mans. Takes the win, pushes himself back up into championship contention. And Serbia in 2nd, Brabham in 3rd. Is Montoya in the pits?
I think he's got a penalty, has he?
Oh yeah, maybe it was a penalty, but why is he suddenly... Well, I don't know what has happened there to Juan Pablo Montoya right at the end. Maybe a drive-through penalty that he had to serve, and here's Jourdain and Steve Soper banging wheels like the early 90s there for Soper, and Jourdain comes across the line in front in 7th position, Soper in 8th. Tony Kanaan is going to finish in 8th position across the line. Peyo will be a bit frustrated because he qualified well but only finished in 6th place.
He was involved in that big crash with Montoya and in that Chandok group on lap 1, wasn't he, Andy Peyo?
Yeah.
So his pace was good, but well, he's got another race to try and make amends in the longer, big 60-car race. I'm excited for this.
It's going to be super cool, isn't it? There was Tony Kanaan chasing down Peyo at the end there. Tom Coronel.
What are those the pros and the sim drivers going to do if there's a big pile-up, as there was in this race, on that narrow stretch down towards Indianapolis? I mean, this could be bedlam.
Yeah, like, especially because the pros are going to, the legends are going to be at the front of the order, and the other they should have the pace to stay there, but will they have the racecraft, I suppose?
Well, and I was going to say the other thing is that you could, in theory, do a rolling start, spread them out, and have each class have enough gap between them, as some real classes do and some real races do, and certainly the NES, which was back on today, the Nürburgring Endurance Series. But they're doing a standing start, everyone's together, and that might actually be better because we've had some crashes to the line, but it's going to bunch them up exactly that, which is pretty insane. You know what else is insane? The fact that Alonso just started 14th and came all the way through to win the race. Pretty remarkable statement, I have to say, Jack.
Yeah, let's speak to him now, shall we? The winner of the first Legends Trophy race at Indianapolis. At Le Mans. Fernando, congratulations. What happened in qualifying, first of all? Why were you 14th on the grid?
Yeah, I made a mistake in one of the corners at the beginning of the lap. And then I saw that I didn't have time to complete the second time lap. So I tried to do one lap, just cutting everywhere, tried to make it on time for the second flying lap, but it was not even time. So yeah, unfortunately starting at the back, yeah, is what it is.
Yeah, well, it was what you was, and you won the race. So how was it carving through the field? Some good fights.
Yeah, it's always difficult. I think on this weekend there is a little bit of a speed difference between the guys. Some of us, we did the 24-hour virtual, so we have a little bit in hand the car and the balance and the speed. So yeah, sometimes too many contacts, unwanted contacts, because the difference in the speed or the things that you get, you maybe get surprised of the movements. But lucky with some of the incidents that I could continue all the time. And let's see now in the final race, hopefully with 40 minutes, we can play a little bit safer and a little bit nicer.
Okay, cool. Well, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us.
So it was a bit of both. The longer lap, we said there was really only going to be time for one. And then he tried to cut everywhere to get there, which, hey, credit to him. At least he's thinking on his feet there. I just want to point out as well, he did win that race. Incredible from the back. That still wouldn't have counted toward the Triple Crown. I know how close he was in Indianapolis. No one's eligible, but just to clarify how it would have worked, you would have had to win your respective class in the endurance race. So
I thought
maybe
it was any race
he
at
still
any of
could.
them.
No, because otherwise, if someone won the sprint and the endurance, you could have two Triple Crown winners, right? So it was supposed to be the endurance race only. The sprints were kind of a pre-qualifier to that. So still wouldn't have counted yet, but man, oh man, that's a heck of a performance, especially with the chaos. That's the big thing. He's got to avoid all the carnage again now.
Yeah, and I think he raises a very valid point, actually, about, the drivers that, because to do the virtual Le Mans a couple of weeks ago, that was some serious hardcore effort and some serious lap times that were put in. Alonso did the 9th fastest lap of the race in that competition. So he really was a cut above the rest of the field.
Again, with double points on offer as well, Alonso's finish certainly gives him, I should say double points in the next race, gives him a good jump on Montoya and Brabham, who he managed to pass in that race and got involved in some incidents with Montoya as well. The pit lane at the end, not sure what that was about. Maybe we'll get a chance to chat with him in a second, but it's still wide open. So Montoya still absolutely has a chance and is in a good position perhaps to win the championship, Jack.
Yeah, 100 points still to play for. So anything can happen, to be honest with you. And we just have no idea how this longer race is going to unfold. I think that's the excitement of it. Like, how much are they going to... Because you can see that the drivers in the Legends Trophy maybe that aren't quite as quick as an Alonso, they might end up in the LMP2 fight with the Pro Cup cars. And then at the end of the Pro Cups, you might have some of the GTEs getting involved, depending on how the race progresses over 40 minutes. But... let's have a chat with Juan Pablo Montoya, shall we, and try and figure out what happened to him at the end of that race. Juan Pablo, the race started well. You were up there towards the front. What happened?
Well, they told us we could cut the track twice in the 3 laps, and I did, and they gave me a penalty. It said, I don't know. It's kind of weird because Fernando went off like 10 times, and he was okay. So I went wide in the first lap, and in the last, so I went a little wide. And I said, it's fine, it's going to be the second cut, and he gave me a drive-through penalty. So I don't know, kind of not disappointed because you spend a lot of time on it and work hard to make sure you're competitive, and they tell you one thing and something else happens. So pretty pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah, very frustrating. At least there's double points in the next race, and you've got good pace, so plenty to fight for.
Yeah. The pace is okay. It's just a lot of luck involved. I got outside of Rubens, and he tried to block, and we got together. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Okay. Well, good luck for race 2. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
The good news is, as a professional, first and foremost, I love that Montoya is always willing to speak his mind, but he will at least be able to reset. He's been in this situation before. He can cool it off and get ready for the next race. They've got a little bit of time to do so. Julian, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've been in that position where you disagree with the steward's decisions, and I'm sure there will be a reason.
Was Alonso involved in that one as well?
Yeah. But I'm sure that there'll be a reason that there was some technicality that probably means that he's got a penalty, but he would have just been unaware of it. And that's the harsh thing. Probably also the track limits cut gained him next to nothing, not very much in the grand scheme of a race there. Probably, I think he crossed the line in third, a couple of seconds clear ahead of David Brabham. It's harsh then to finish down in 15th for that, but he's fuming. As Jack said, he's got a chance to make up for it because his pace was pretty solid.
I wonder if it's a case of what he's talking about is obviously track limits on exit or entry to a corner, kind of, taking a little bit too much liberty, whereas Alonso was 4 wheels off, out of control. I wonder if there's a distinction on this, specifically track to track in this particular sim, where maybe that let him get away with what would be considered a cut track otherwise. So interesting to think about. We talk about how sim's actually better in some ways for sensing the limits because it can do it with a program, which is much easier than real life. Quick note as well, Jack. I mentioned Sebastian not being on the sim with Montoya. He's actually headed over to Italy to get ready for his F4 series, which is pretty cool. So JP gets the honors all weekend long. So we'll get ready to get into the big race now and see how he does. The Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones, has been pretty special. It's given us a ton of entertainment with everything going on and COVID and lockdown. It certainly opened a lot of people's eyes to the sim world and brought in some incredible drivers. But over the last 15 weeks, there's been a ton of highlights, Jack, and I think we have to look back at perhaps all of them.
First race in the Race All-Star Esport battle is underway. Alonso is up into 11th place after one lap, having started at the back. Oh, big crash in front. There's Jacques Villeneuve on the inset, just on an Xbox controller. That's phenomenal stuff from Jacques Villeneuve. What a legend. We're on board with Emerson Fittipaldi, who's trying to get past Castroneves, who goes in super deep, as does Tiago Monteiro.
Solberg from 4th to 1st in one corner then. Solberg leading.
Castroneves is off, facing backwards at the second corner, and Button's off as well. Oh, someone's upside down. It's absolute chaos.
That's really close, too close. Barrichello into the back of Castroneves.
80-year-old Mario Andretti, he's running with Alonso and Button, the race leaders. Oh, Turner and Fernandez. That was a bit rude from Turner, wasn't it? Oh, sends it sideways, across the curb, across the grass.
Button just behind Magnussen for the race lead.
Oh, Jimmy Broadbent's round. He's going through the grass and Herta's facing the wrong way. Oh, but is he going to get Kanaan as well? 2 and 1. Nice move from Dario Franchitti. Outbreaks 2 cars. Max Verstappen is leading the race. He's going to finish some 5 or 6 seconds clear of Max Günther. Here's Juan Pablo Montoya through the final corner, and Alonso's got it crossed up, and he's off. Jenson Button out across the line, wins in Indianapolis.
Very, very special, I think, to have been involved in a lot of those moments. And Jack, I mean, for you both, I'll get Julian, I'll get your opinions as well, but what probably impossible, but how cool has it been to be a part of it, and what was the best?
I really enjoyed that, the first race, because Jolie and I had been in Australia. We got a flight back on the Friday night after agreeing to do this thing on the Sunday. Landed, I don't know, Saturday afternoon. Sunday, me and Jolien were in a man called Edmund's bedroom commentating on this on the race thing with Verstappen in it. It was super cool and weird, wasn't it, Jolien?
It was honestly not something that I ever thought I'd be doing at the start of this, but it's been so much fun. And yeah, that was probably the oddest moment of it, but all good.
Well, there you go. Very cool. We'll be back in just a sec. I suppose that's actually a good point as well, Julian, is that, Jack's done sim before. He came from the sim world to the racing world, just as many drivers have done through GT Academy or World's Fastest Gamer in some respects. And you've now seen sim for the first time, so it's probably been eye-opening. I think it's been eye-opening to do this, and we couldn't have done it, of course, without rockets. And for the last time, well, potentially at least for this particular stint of our series, you've got a chance to win a phone. Here's how.
If you'd like the chance to win a Rocket phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and tell us, what is the name of the former Formula One Vice World Champion who currently drives for the Rocket Venturi Formula E team? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to race fans on rocketphones.com right now, with huge discounts of up to 60% on selected handsets. Still want more? Well, we've got you covered. You can also receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones when you buy any phone. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER. This contest is open to all race fans, no matter where you live in the world. So why wait? Head to rocketphones.com right now to check out the deals.
Well, we're getting ready to get into what is going to be our grand finale in a lot of ways. A 45-minute endurance race with everybody on track all at once. Different classes, different carnage, different chaos, I'm sure, in many ways. But we've got to keep in mind the protagonists, which will be Jack and Joe for you guys. A little bit more difficult to follow, perhaps. So maybe we should start shaping up that story now. Obviously, we touched on the legends. We'll get to that in a second. But for the sim, here's how the standings look. And again, 100 points available to the winner of this race. And that's distributed down the line. I'll get the point table here in a minute. So 188, 80, 72, and fairly close down throughout.
Yeah, so Yuri Kasdorp up at the top. Muhammed Patel is second. Duval is still there in third. But I think they just start so far back in the pack. That's where it's going to be difficult for them. And it's so tight that it's basically whoever finishes. If Kasdorp finishes in the top 5, he's done it. If he finishes ahead of Patel, Duval, and von der Heide, he's done it basically. So I think this is a real open goal for Yuri Kasdorp.
Well, we'll see if he can capitalize on said goal. Obviously, like we say, lots of points, but just because there's 100 doesn't mean you're going to jump that far. There's lots of guys looking to capitalize. You're right. Patel is a little bit further back. He starts 42nd overall, which I think is 9th in the respective class. I'm just trying to do the math. 55 drivers to take the start, obviously. The back end of the grid is made up by the guys we looked at in terms of the GT3 cars. The pro cars are in the middle in the LMP3. And again, that championship's been pretty wide open. We've seen a lot of different results again. Bunch of different winners. I think we've had 8 different winners up to today, maybe 9 now, if I'm not mistaken, including this morning's race with Ollie Rowland picking one up, but it's tight at the top.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because the split for a win to a second place is, let me just tell you now, 12 points. So, and the gap at the top of the championship is 11 points. So if Rowland wins the race, he wins the championship. It's as simple as that. But obviously, if he finishes further down, and if Canapino finishes in front of him, then he wins, unless Dillman finishes further in front. So I think there's going to be a lot of mathematics in this one.
Maybe I will take the job of trying to track that for you guys while it's going on. I don't know if it's going to happen. Again, we looked at the legends a minute ago. We'll touch on that again. Don't forget to follow at We Are The Race for everything, all the updates, all of the championship highlights, the look back, and the look forward. We will have a season 4. The dates will be announced on our social media and on therace.com, so don't miss it. Well, forget your appetizers, because on the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones, it's time for dinner and dessert all at once as we get into the endurance racing. It's probably not the best analogy, but it's going to be a tasty race, Jack.
Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. But no, really looking forward to this. Really busy grid, huge grid, plenty of action, different classes getting in the mix, legends on the circuit. Oh, it's like a nice art gallery, Matt, isn't it?
That also makes no sense, but I'll go with it. Maybe it's a little bit better. Maybe Jolien can give us something, bail us out here at this point.
No. But look, I can't wait. This is gonna be great. The finale of this Triple Crown, and it comes down to people avoiding trouble predominantly. Rowland's got a great chance in the Pro Cup, starting from the front. Kasdorp, it's his to lose. He just needs to avoid hitting trouble. You've got all the legends in front of that, which could well be the trouble. It's finally poised.
Well, yeah. I think the standing start aspect is both good and bad because there's an aspect of reaction time, and it does mean that, people aren't going to be necessarily tripping over each other as much, but it means they're all grouped up in terms of different paces. And I fear for the slower classes off the start, believe it or not, because as we know, the legends can definitely get involved with each other and then end up blocking parts of the corner you might want to take in a GT3 car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right there. And I think we'll just see whether the legends behave any differently, because Alonso is a pretty robust racer, isn't he? We saw him kind of forcing the issue quite a lot. He says he wants to be more patient in this race, so maybe that'll be the same off the start. This is how the championship looks for the legends coming into this, and Alonso is 4 points ahead of Brabham. I believe Alonso is also under investigation for that last race. Montoya is still plenty in the fight as well. Prio's got a bit of an outside. Yeah, we're going to see what happens in what is going to be an epic race. Nikodem Wisniewski's going to start on pole. Erhan Jajovski alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then we've got Mroczek in 5th. Von der Heide in 6th position. Risto Kappet and Dennis Jordan behind them. Muhammed Patel completes the top 10. So he's not totally out of the running, Patel, but he's got a long way to climb up the order. In the Pro Cup class, it's Dillman on pole, Rowland in 2nd. And those two, if they can take the win ahead of Canapino, have a shot at winning the title. If Rowland wins the race, he wins the championship. If Canapino wins it, he wins it. Dillman needs to win it and hope that Canapino is not in 2nd position. Johnny Adam there will start in 9th place. James Pull in 10th. Martin Plowman in 12th. And then in the Legends Trophy, at the front of the grid overall, it's going to be Rubens Barrichello alongside Andy Prio, who started poorly, having qualified well in the last race. Karun Chanduk led briefly previously. David Brabham is a competitor, the Australian-Italian who starts in 7th spot. Castroneves down in 12th, but once again, Alonso is going to have to come from the back of the order. The grand finale of the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones at Le Mans, begins now. It's a really good start from Rubens Barrichello. Look at this huge grid of cars, and already there's 2 in the wall, and I think that might even be Dillman. I think that might be Tom Dillman who's taken a hit, and Canapino has got up into the lead. Rowland is 2nd. Barrichello's out in front. Nikodem Wisniewski leads in the Legends in the Sim Masters class, but Barrichello out in front. Castroneves has gone 2nd, but he's received a penalty. Siebel is involved in all sorts of chaos in the middle of the pack. There's spinners everywhere, and it's Mroczek who's leading. Bradley Smith, Rowland and Ingram are side by side. Canapino now is down to 5th position. So in the Legends Trophy in LMP2, it is Barrichello, Chanduk, Coronel, Servia, Prio the top 5. In the Pro Cup, it is Bradley Smith ahead of Jaeger Fay, then Rowland and Canapino, and then in the Sim Masters, it's Mroczek, Hoyer, Epps and Jordan. So it's chaos in Sim Masters land. Rowland is up into 2nd place, so as it stands, Ollie Rowland would win the championship in the Pro Cup. But 44 minutes to go.
Wow. So much happened there. Montoya there getting into Andy Prio down at the first chicane, and then David Brabham caught up in that. Oh dear. That's one of our Legends Championship challengers caught up in an accident not of his doing. But shame for Brabham. Montoya was the man that made the pass on Prio. But what absolute chaos. Ollie Rowland was in 2nd. Dillman's obviously the big loser in the Pro Cup. He was in the wall within 2nd. Canapino came through, but Canapino's now dropped out of the top 5 as well.
And Alonso is out. Fernando Alonso is out of the race. The car too badly damaged at the start. He is out. So that means it'll be, well, if they can get to the end, Brabham or Montoya to win the championship in the Legends Trophy. There you see Alonso straight on his phone. Servia and Coronel are going side by side. Coronel takes out a few bollards, and Montoya now is going to get up into 3rd place, or is he? He bangs doors with Tom Coronel. Montoya up into 4th position. So as it stands, he would win the championship there. Rowland would win the championship in the Pro Cup. And as for the Legends, and as for the Sims, I guess it would be Yuri Kasdorp at the moment, but we'll wait and see how Kasdorp is getting on a little bit later. Wow.
I think one accident might have taken out 2 contenders in different classes. Steve Soper, I think, was the one that was involved off the start that may have gotten Alonso and Dillman, who were 14th and 15th in the overall grid, respectively.
Well, here's a look at the replay. On board with Alonso then. Here he comes in towards the start of the race. Oh, goodness me. Alonso absolutely wiped out there. So do we think that was Soper in the white car that came across?
I think it may. I'm trying to figure out who it was because Soper's got the BMW livery. So the blue and white, I'll have to take a peek at who that may have been.
Presumably there was someone on his inside, though, and that's the reason he came across. So 60 cars starting this race, and Fernando Alonso was staying wide on the outside. But yeah, it just took a big hit. The damage is 25% for the Legends, but obviously still enough contact that he just couldn't return. It's Hélio Castroneves, is it? Who's had a good start up the inside. He's been tipped by Jourdain. And that's what it is. It's Jourdain just snagged the back of Castroneves. Oh, Hélio. Oh, dear.
Castroneves piled across, and that's when he now then wiped out another couple of cars. That's why he was suddenly in the lead for a moment. But it's now Rubens Barrichello in the lead. We're watching Michael Ben-Yahir and James Pull fighting. Bradley Smith and Oliver Rowland are right together for the lead of the Pro Cup class. And Mike Epps has now got in front as Ben-Yahir sends James Pull spinning. But Mike Epps is now leading in the Sim Masters. Some more spins. Bijtskevitsa going across the circuit there. Ben-Yahir still running in 11th place. So, wow.
This is the problem for the Sim Masters, guys. There's every other corner, there's an obstacle in the middle of the track. And Mike Epps, where's he come from? And on the grid, he was about 15th or 16th, wasn't he? He's now leading the race. All of our front runners from that earlier race.
Kasdorp 5th.
Yeah, Kasdorp is 5th. That's critical, but the rest of them have gone. So it's incredible how this race is unfolding. Canapino's not there in the Pro Cup. That's handing it to Ollie Rowland right now, who doesn't need to get involved with Bradley Smith, but I'm sure will go for the win. He's still got 40 minutes to try and get this done. But yeah, Alonso, he wanted to just take his time in this race. He just spoke to you, Jack, and just said, I don't need to go for anything. No silly contact. Unlucky. It was not his fault at all. It was Jourdain and Castroneves having a tap, and Fernando's caught out. But it's happening to everyone out there.
So Canapino is now in 7th place, the Argentinian championship leader in the Pro Cup. He is racing in the LMP3. He's in 7th position behind Ross Gunn in 6th. Now, he's quite a way behind Oliver Rowland. Well, I say quite a way, 4 seconds or so behind Ollie Rowland, who's in 2nd place, maybe even in the lead before too long, because he's right in the slipstream of Bradley Smith. But I would not be surprised if Rowland is just easing off the throttle on the back straights and sitting in behind Smith for the time being. Here's Arthur Rougier in 5th position, just behind the man we're on board with now, Tom Ingram, who's in 4th spot. Barrichello's lead up at the front is 5.6 seconds over Karun Chandhok in 2nd, with Juan Pablo Montoya and Oriol Servia side by side for 3rd position. Tom Ingram is trying to lose the slipstream of the cars behind, and this is Jourdain, who we're on board with. Oh, there's a bit of contact in front. I think who was that flying into the wall? Not 100% sure, but Jourdain is making his way past some of the LMP3 cars now.
Yeah, someone looked like they had a brake failure down at the Mulsanne hairpin, just straight on, not slowing down. Again, don't know who it was, but that'll be a big crash and someone presumably out of the race. Jourdain taking advantage. But yeah, he's in amongst the LMP3 guys as well. There's legends amongst the LMP3s, and the difference in pace is going to be very difficult to negotiate.
There is Arthur Rougier in the bottom left, running in 5th place behind Ross Gunn, who qualified well and is currently going great. Ross in 4th position. Rougier and Canapino in 5th and 6th. But it is the top 2 of Smith and Rowland who have pulled out really a decent lead. Yeah, Yaffe is running in behind. Here's a look at a replay of Mike Epps then. This is how he took the lead of the class. They were fighting here with an LMP3 car, I want to say. Epps is behind Mroczek down the Mulsanne straight, pulls to the inside of Michi Hoyer, and is he going to take 2 in 1? That's a risky one. Epps has done it. What a lovely move that was, coming down into Mulsanne corner.
Just enough space, and he made it stick. Really neat on the brakes. Lovely move. But you just saw there, I think that was Jourdain flying past in an LMP1. That's the difference in straight line speed that the legends have got. And that's where there's a propensity for chaos. Having said that, I think though the legends in their LMP2 cars have got ahead, but Castroneves, they're spinning out. He's going to be rejoining amongst the melee.
Yeah, so Castroneves in the wall. We're on board in the top right with Michi Hoyer, who's running in 4th place. Kasdorp now has got up into 3rd spot then. So this is a really good run from Yuri Kasdorp. He's now going to be trying to close in on Peyo Peev and Mike Epps, who quite frankly, I don't think are going to have the pace compared to Kasdorp, because Peev was battling Liam Duval for 20 millionth position earlier on in race 1, and Kasdorp now has got past him and up into 2nd place, 2.3 seconds back from Mike Epps, and he sets the fastest lap of the race in the meantime. The class leaders, Barrichello, Smith and Epps, 37 minutes to go in this one. Matt Trivett, what have you made of the opening 10 minutes?
So far, I mean, again, aside from the start chaos, fairly straightforward. Just a curious note, though, that I've kind of just been looking into is obviously the LMP3s don't run in the 24-hour Le Mans. It's LMP1 and LMP2. They don't have a whole lot of power. They've got 420 at the top of their RPM range and only 186 in the straight. So being lower powered than the GT3 cars, they've got better braking, they're faster through the corners, but the GT3s are faster down the straight, and therefore we're seeing some of the sim guys keeping up at the back end of that field, which definitely could get interesting as the battles start to ensue a little bit later on or mistakes are made.
Here's Juan Pablo Montoya, running in 4th place. He's just behind Oriol Servia, and then subsequently he's just behind Karun Chandhok as they make their way down the Mulsanne. Karun Chandhok, the most recent guest on the Race Esports podcast, which you can download from any good podcasting place. And he was very interesting on it, actually, which, you know, I suppose is always the case with Karun.
Give us a teaser. Give us a teaser.
Well, you know, he does his circuit design stuff. Well, now he designs circuits. He's part of the sort of FIA Circuit Design Commission. He's built a few in Asia. There's some being built in India now. And while he's designing these circuits, he can then get the designers to email it to him. He then has a little bit of a drive on it at home and is like, actually, we thought Turn 4 would be good. It's rubbish. Let's change it to this. And they can do it in a couple of days, and then he tries it again, and it speeds up that whole process. So how's that for a little teaser?
Cool. I had that, you know, with at Snetterton.
Did you design the 300?
I knew the designer, and I helped. Driving it on a simulator, yeah.
What did you? Is there anything tangible that you did at Snetterton that you can say actually that was me?
I approved it. There was a couple of
seal of approval.
I mean that means he essentially did everything. I mean, if he approved it, he gets the final word.
Yeah,
but if you've ever gone from Hamilton into Oggies, you'll know that's a tricky braking zone. Oggies was originally designed to be a much wider corner. Now it's just a little sharp right-hander. You know.
Bit of camber. Is there a bit of a camber?
It's quite flat, to be honest, but it opens up. There's a sort of second curve on the exit, and that's where you open up. It just excites you to get on the throttle, but actually can be punishing if you drop a wheel.
This might be a new challenge for the commentary race, Jack. If Palmer's such a pro at designing tracks, I mean, Sim, you could essentially design anything as a custom track. Maybe we get him to make us one.
If we do the commentators race on the Snetterton 300, you'd be worried.
I've got a race later this year on the Snetterton 300 in the TC UK Championship, the Touring Car UK Championship. So I'll be asking for advice. Is Palmer's on the Snetterton 300 circuit named after you then?
No.
Oh.
Named after the circuit designer.
Ah, I know the circuit designer. 33 minutes to go. We've taken a fairly large sidetrack. Apologies, but we have the time to. And this is just getting me and Palmer in the zone for free practice 1 next week. As we have Yefei running in 5th place ahead of Agustin Canapino. Rubens Barrichello is leading the way. Mike Epps has just set the fastest lap of the race. Peyo Peev is still holding 2nd place ahead of Yuri Kasdorp in the Sim Masters, but that's still enough for Kasdorp to wrap up the title. Roland in 2nd in the Pro Cup is still enough for him to wrap up the title. And at the moment, Montoya in 4th is enough for him to wrap up the title in the Legends Trophy. As we're on board with Yuri Kasdorp, seeing all those cars in front of him, in particular Peyo Peev, the Bulgarian, right in front.
So Kasdorp really just needs to avoid getting in trouble here, because he's without any incident, he's going to be the champion. No one can win the Triple Crown, so it's just about being the champion. And he's got the pace, clearly, but still sitting in behind Peyo Peev. Mikep's 2 seconds up the road, doing a really good job in this race. And looking down, we've got Patel in 13th and Duval in 14th. So those two are the other people that would win if Kasdorp slipped up, and that was exactly the sort of thing that could have been bad, but he got away with it.
So who is that?
There's a lunatic in an LMP3.
I don't know who that is, but Kasdorp then has just about evaded all of that carnage, and he's up into second place ahead of Peyo Peev. Epstein in the lead. Here is Canapino, still running in 5th place then. He's ahead of Yafei, but he's got to get past Gunn, Rougier, Roland and Smith if he wants to win the title. Half an hour to go. But that gap from Rougier to Roland is pretty big now, 3 seconds or so.
Barrichello's absolutely smashing this, isn't he? 10 seconds up the road from Karun Chandok. Chandok's actually doing a really good job. There's only a second time in the series.
Yeah.
The first was on an oval, and he's doing really well with a nice group just behind him. Servio, Montoya and Priaulx. Ah, here we go. It's Archie Hamilton was the lunatic down the back straight.
So that's what happened with Archie Hamilton as he cruised past them and then had contact with Peyo Peev. Very sloppy, really.
Yeah. That reminds me very much of Maxime Vinifier versus, I think it was James Colato, or it was the Rizzi Competizione Ferrari in 2018.
And less lunatic as well there. It's a mistake that, you're talking about the
Pierre
one
Caffer,
down
I think it was actually. That's
hairpin.
right. Yeah, it was Pierre Caffer that was taken out. That's exactly right. Yeah, it was pretty catastrophic. Essentially underestimated the braking speed of the GT-E as it was in that case.
Yeah, you can have big accidents like that, and that was actually Hamilton there. Didn't do a lot wrong, to be honest. Was just coming through with a bigger straight line speed, but just got a little nudge from Peyo Peev, who misjudged the speed, and that's why he couldn't turn into the corner. When we were on board with Kasdorp, it looked like he just straight lined it Alonso style.
Amusing comment from Kevin Ryan, who I presume is I presume it's not the one that was in the Sim Masters, but he says Peyo will be peeved. Anyway, Montoya and Servia are together, and Montoya is off in the gravel, down in 4th position. How many places is he going to lose? None. Gets away with that one. Andy Priaulx joins the back of him quite quickly, but I think that Montoya is still in position to win the Legends Trophy, just about. That was a very, very tight one. It depends where Brabham is, actually. Haven't seen where David Brabham is recently, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But Montoya should be in a position to win it at the moment, in 4th place. This is what happened.
So, tucked in behind Oriol Servia, we're coming up to the 2nd chicane. And, that was too ambitious there, I think, from Juan Pablo. That gap was closing, and he was a bit far back, I think. And that's a risk he doesn't need to be taking with his position. I don't know if he knows Alonso's out of the race and not breathing down his neck at some point, but he's got this in the bag if he can finish where he is, but he doesn't need that level of contact.
So Montoya, post-race penalties can be applied. I mean, I guess the fact that Servia held that position means that there's not a huge amount to kind of punish Montoya for. No real effect. But then we'll get bogged down in a stewarding discussion and whether the outcome of an incident should be included in the penalty. But anyway, here comes Andy Priaulx on the back of Montoya. And Montoya holds that 4th place for the time being. 28 minutes left on the clock. Barrichello's lead is up to 11.5 seconds. He is bossing it today.
He's another man that was dialed in. Alonso's teammate, wasn't he, in the Le Mans Virtual 24 a couple of weeks ago. And look, inset, Ollie Rowland passing Bradley Smith there for the lead in the LMP3, the Pro Cup category. So Rowland has just been sitting in behind Smith for best part of 20 minutes. Finally, on the Mulsanne hairpin, makes it stick. So Rowland into the lead, looking very good. But Canapino still 4th and not all that far away.
This will feel like, Montoya squeezing Peyo towards the wall. It's like Schumacher Barrichello Hungaroring, and Peyo is not going to hold on to that one for the moment. Montoya into 4th position then. Peyo will get good drive out of the chicane, but not enough to make a move on Montoya. Roland was doing in the Le Mans virtual race, they were doing 3-hour stints in these, so a 40-minute stint for Oliver Roland won't feel too bad at all, I wouldn't have thought. And he's now hit the front in the Pro Cup. Yuri Kasdorp still second, just in front of Peyo Peev, which will be enough to wrap up the championship for him in the Sim Masters. And in the Legends Trophy, Montoya in 4th, still will have him taking the win. Here was Kasdorp, going back up past ahead of Peev then. So those two have been swapping places a little bit, and Kasdorp in 2nd place.
Peev must have got back ahead of Kasdorp then after that Archie Hamilton moment, but short-lived. Still running 3/10 apart. Pretty much nose to tail, Kasdorp and Peev. 2.7 seconds away from Mike Epps, who's just marching away still. I'm surprised Kasdorp's not closed that gap since he got into 2nd place. Still 26 minutes left on the clock, but Epps doing a cracking job.
One thing to consider that we haven't really discussed in what was the sprint race is because they were 3 laps and you've got a long straightaway to let the tires settle. But now that we're into a 45-minute race, some of these gaps might change at the end. We know tires have been a factor in every other week, so I kind of expect they will be late in this race as well.
Yeah, I think that's very true. It's not it's a demanding track on tires, but like you say, there's a lot of straights to get the temperature back down a little bit, and even the corners on the straights are chicanes. But I think that is going to be impactful towards the. I want to know who's Montoya's talking to, because he's always chatting to someone, isn't he? But can't see anyone in the room. Seb Montoya, you say Matt is on his way to start Formula 4. So who's Juan Pablo talking to? Like Tom Coronel there, he's got a headset on, so he can at least pretend to be talking to someone as Tony Kanaan tries to overtake him. But Juan Pablo just seems to be in an empty room having a chat. Here comes Tony Kanaan to the inside, a man who, great to see him still racing after his real racing got underway a few weeks ago, as he competed in that great 7-Eleven livery in IndyCar. Gabby Chavez up in the top right is trying to make his way through some of the Sim Masters drivers, isn't he? So Chavez, who's been a little quiet, I would say, in this second or this 3rd season of the Race All-Star Series, but yeah, a little bit quiet in this one. 15th at the moment, fighting with some of the GTE cars. Plowman and Ben here fighting over 12th and 13th position. James Headley's been given a penalty for some reason. Roland's lead now to 1.6 seconds. And Kasdorp is just 4/10 behind Epps. So Epps may have made a mistake, but because Kasdorp, Peev, round goes Plowman and hits Ben here, but Kasdorp, Peev and Jajovski have all joined Mike Epps pretty instantly, really, in the battle for the lead in the Sim Masters. Barrichello's lead is 13 seconds.
So that's going to get very interesting. Just 2/10 in it. Epps is right under pressure for the lead in the Sim Masters, as you say. Busy watching Gabby Chavez very clearly bump draft someone down the Mulsanne straight, but I'm sure that'll be investigated afterwards. He's only in 12th place in the Pro Cup, so without any championship hopes either, not a lot at stake.
Here comes Kasdorp. He was coming past Mike Epps. We're getting a replay of what happened here with Martin Plowman, but I'm fairly sure, that was a late one for Plowman. Then he gets out wide on the gravel and wipes out Ben here. But I'm fairly sure we're going to have a change for the lead here in the GT3 class. Yes, Yuri Kasdorp has got in front. There's the Zoom call of all the drivers on the left-hand side that are competing out here today. Nikodem Wisniewski in there, Tom Coronel you see in there. But here's Kasdorp, and they're in a fight with some of they're right in the mix of some of the Pro Cup cars. So that's probably where Mike Epps lost all that time, effectively in traffic, potentially.
Yeah, this is really difficult situation now for Epps and Kasdorp. Neck and neck for the lead in their own race. They've got Peyo Peev and Erhan Jajovski just behind as well. Look at this train of mixed cars in different categories. They've got to find their way through. This is classic Le Mans.
Still 22 minutes to go. There's Rubens Barrichello in the bottom left, 13 seconds clear of anyone else. A dominant drive this from Rubens Barrichello. We're on board with Erhan Jajovski in 4th place. Peyo Peev just in front. There's Pro Cup cars in the gravel and rejoining all over the place. Jajovski gets a hit. Jajovski has a collision with someone that was trying to rejoin. Didn't quite see who it was. There is Barrichello in the main picture, comfortably leading the way, but Jajovski now has dropped away from that top three because of that contact.
Barrichello's going to have to lap most of these guys. He's had just a very quiet race, and now he's grinning in the bottom left. But he's going to have an entire field to work his way through now. Luckily, he's not under any big pressure. But Jajovski then caught up in that moment, and there's going to be a lot of this now for these Sim Masters, particularly amongst the Pro Cup guys.
That was Lucas Blakely that Barrichello was just making his way past. On board again with Erhan Jajovski in 4th position now. He's dropped a little bit away from the Peev, Epps, Kasdorp battle up in front. It looks as though that battle has calmed down a tiny bit. They're right nose to tail coming into the chicanes, but there's less traffic around at the moment. And here's a look at a replay then. And it was Archie Hamilton again, rejoining he hit the wall. I mean, it wasn't a horrific rejoin, but it wasn't strong.
He's been off quite a lot, hasn't he, Archie Hamilton? Yeah. And yeah, rejoining. I mean, he didn't exactly swarm across the track, but it's very difficult when you've got a lot of cars coming through to come on safely, to be honest. Another car dropping wide on the exit of turn 2 there, but that was none of our main contenders. So still pretty close to Jajovski. He didn't actually lose too much, just a 1.5 seconds back from Peyo Peev.
Barrichello's lead, still 11.4 seconds over Karun Chanduk in 2nd place. Oriol Servia 3rd, Andy Prio 4th, Juan Pablo Montoya in 5th position as it stands, which should be enough to give Juan Pablo Montoya the championship win in the Legends Trophy. We're on board with Michi Hoyer up in the top right as he tries to make progress, but Epps here is under big pressure from Yuri Kasdorp. You've got the LMP car in the middle there. I think it's Daniel Rowbottom, who we're on board with here, who is in the middle of that fight, and surprisingly a bit slower through the chicane than the GT cars in front of him. And it is Peyo Peev that is kind of stuck behind him as we come through there. So Epps and Kasdorp now nose to tail. This is where Kasdorp's got to just keep out of trouble. Finishing 2nd, and he still wins. And we're on board with him now, coming down the Mulsanne. And I think he'll be lifting at this point, just sitting in behind Mike Epps and not too keen to get involved in too hard a fight.
No, and that bit of traffic there really helped them to just break a second clear of Peyo Peev, who got stuck behind Rowbottom at the first chicane. Makes a huge difference. It's all about being really clinical through the traffic. And look, Rowbottom's still there ahead of Peev, so really frustrating for the Bulgarian. But Kasdorp, you're right, he's just blending out, I think, rather than attacking Epps particularly. He's happy just to sit in 2nd for the moment.
So, Matt, what's this going to do to the championship? We've got 19 minutes to go. A lot can change, but what are we looking at right now?
Yeah, provisionally just looking at it, I mean, the Sim Championship meet seems the most obvious at this point. The championship leader, Kasdorp, sitting in 2nd place, and Patel being just behind him in the championship by 10 points is way down in 13th. So that one doesn't need tracking. It's a little bit closer in what we're, the Pro Championship of the LMP cars, because Agustin Canapino was obviously now up into 3rd. That closes it down. It was a gap of 11 points between Ollie Rowland in 2nd in the championship and it was a gap of a 20-point lead or gain by Ollie Rowland, which obviously would have put him in the lead. That's now closed a further 8 points, which means it's 12 points. At this point, Ollie Rowland only would have a 1-point lead if they finished as they were. So that one's getting extremely tight. Meanwhile, in the LMP2s, the Legends category, Priu's ahead of Montoya. That only gets him 4 points in what is a gap, excuse me if I just bring it up, of about 20 points. So he's not going to be anywhere near that. But Montoya needs to not take chances. You guys said it. The man who's ahead of him, David Brabham, last I checked was down in 9th, and that's quite a gap. So Montoya, if he stays where he is, has the championship wrapped up.
Okay, so just to clarify that in the Pro Cup quickly. So Rowland, by my calculations, if Rowland wins, he wins the championship full stop, right? He wins by like 1 point.
If he wins and Canapino finishes in second place, it would be a 12-point difference. Right now, it's 20 points. So yes, he still has the lead comfortably. But watch Canapino because he's on the move, and that could put pressure on things with 19 to go.
Absolutely, and we're getting a bit of traffic now for some of the LMP cars. Montoya and Peyo going around, might have been Adam Maguire in one of the GPVWC machines. 17 minutes left on the clock. Yuri Kasdorp still leading in the Sim Masters. Montoya bouncing through the chicanes, and they're getting up to a big long group now of the GTE cars. So Peyo goes through, just trying to see who it is that Montoya is kind of putting moves on now. I think it's going to be the sort of, oh, that's David Greco then. So he's now up into the sort of top 15 of the GT3 cars. My apologies for saying GTE there. The GT3 cars. And yeah, that is where Montoya and Andy Peyo are right now. And you can see how much time Peyo has gained, just getting through that traffic a little smoother. Oh!
Yeah, Montoya almost lost it exit of turn 2, and he almost lost it again before Tetra Rouge. I mean, he's had 2 huge escapes there, Juan Pablo Montoya, the man that is looking to be champion, but really working to pass these guys and then stick with Andy Peyo as well. They've got so many more cars to pass though. They're 15th of the GT3s. They've got most of them still to go, and then the lot of the LMP3s if they're quick enough.
So Kasdorp has hit the front now in GT3. Epps is right behind him. Now is he blending out of it as well? I think he is, just sitting in behind Yuri Kasdorp as they come down the Mulsanne straight. And here's Canapino then in second place. So Canapino has got past Rougier and up into second position. Now as it stands, Ollie Rowland would win the Pro Cup by 1 point. So can Canapino close in 3.5 seconds in 15 minutes? That's going to be the big question. Or will he make a mistake? Any mistake from Rowland and Canapino wins the championship.
This is huge, and Canapino, that gap has come down. It was nearer 5 seconds, now it's nearer 3. In a while, Rowland's still going quickly, consistently, but then the traffic, they might have to deal with some traffic as well. And there's a lot of pressure now for Rowland with Canapino in second. He's got probably the quickest man and the man that can beat him in the championship just behind. So Rowland cannot afford to make a mistake.
And the question as well is, Rowland started on pole and has been sprinting away, but hasn't had to work hard for track position, whereas Canapino started 5th. So who's actually used more tires, the man running or the man that's had to battle for position?
It's a good point. Montoya, when we went on board with him for the last lap, had 2 lurid oversteers, and I wonder if that was rear tyre. Look at this. That was the first one out of the chicane. Then he had another one before Tetra Rouge. And that's maybe because he's smoked a bit of the rear tyres already. There's still 14 minutes to go. And look, Rowland's just got to try and measure that with Canapino behind, who's been really quick for just a lot of weeks now. He's been very consistent, Canapino.
Is this the other one?
He got really wide there, didn't he, on the left, and then had a bit more turning to do on the right, and then he just hit the bollard as well, and glanced off the wall, kept it together. But yeah, Montoya a bit scrappy there, and that might be the first sign we see of tyre wear.
So what have we got going on here? We've got Petter Solberg in this race, right up behind Tom Coronel. They're battling over 7th and 8th positions at the moment with 13.5 minutes to go. Having a nice little fight there, Coronel and Solberg. Epps is in second place still, behind Yuri Kasdorp. And I think a shout out to Mike Epps. He was a Pro Cup racer, but he was so good that we put him in with the Sim Masters, and now he's running right at the front of that field as well. So hugely impressive stuff from Mike Epps. Petter Solberg in the main screen, as you look at it, is making his way up the order, getting ahead of one of the Sim Masters cars in the Corvette GT3s. 13 minutes left on the clock as Solberg comes across the line, just under a second away from Tom Coronel. And Barrichello's lead is pretty much stabilised at 11 seconds or so. Karun Chanduk in second, Oriol Servia in third, as we are in the grand finale of the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We've had 15 weeks of action, but real racing getting back underway properly. Well, Formula One in particular next week, so keep your eye on the-race.com. And we are the race on social media for all the latest from the real world of Formula One racing next weekend. And also we'll have more virtual racing coming up for you later in the year, but just not quite as regular as we have been in the lockdown period. 12 minutes left on the clock. Also, the race for all your esports news from the championships that will continue to run even when real racing returns, like GPVWC and the VEC and all of those kind of things. 12 minutes left on the clock. Barrichello leading, 12 seconds ahead of Karun Chandhok. Oliver Rowland is leading the Pro Cup class, and at the moment still has a 3-second lead over Agustin Canapino, so things are looking fairly peachy for Rowland as it stands. Yuri Kasdorp is now leading as well in the GT3 Sim Masters class. So 2 of our 3 classes, we've got the race leader looking set to win the championship, but it's Juan Pablo Montoya in 5th place in the LMP2s that looks set to win the Legends Trophy overall, with Barrichello there in leading the race at the moment in the top right.
Montoya is catching again Andy Priaulx, so he might yet have another scrap to do before this is out. Still 11 minutes left on the clock, and we're watching Erhan Jajovski, who's now ahead of Peyo Peev in their battle. That's for 3rd place in the Sim Masters, in the GT3s. They're not all that far away from that lime green car of Yuri Kasdorp in the overall lead in that as well. So a couple of LMP3 cars in the way for them. A lot of traffic to deal with, but Jajovski still going strong and now ahead of Peyo Peev.
There is Jajovski with the red Corvette of Peev right behind. Tom Coronel is going to try and come past them down the straight, which he manages to do. They're going to get a bit close into the braking zone though, and you can see there that Jajovski getting a bit held up by Coronel initially. Then Petter Solberg is going to be the black LMP2 car that's going to try and get past the GTs, and once they get out onto the straight, that should be fairly straightforward. And I guess that's the sort of big, there are good times to, and very straightforward times to catch cars around Le Mans, aren't there? It's not like we're doing this at Monaco. That would be chaos.
Can you imagine? 24-hour race around Monaco would be balmy. The Le Mans, I mean, what a legendary circuit this is. Yeah. Full of fast corners, lovely sweeps like here at the Porsche curves. But also there are times where, like the Mulsanne straight, where it's easy to pass cars, particularly if you're in one of the LMP2 cars in the Legends. There's enough long straights that you can make your way through.
I'll even add to that if you catch them on the straightaway, it can be an advantage because you can get a draft from them on the way by.
Indeed. Talking of the way by, Montoya's passed Priaulx for 4th place. So that's just happened. Didn't see it, but that's a move that Montoya's made, getting closer to the podium, but more crucially, a clean pass on Andy Priaulx.
Yeah, that secures his grasp a little tighter on the Legends Trophy crown. 9 minutes left on the clock, and Erhan Jajovski is just ahead of this man Peyo Peev in the bottom left, who has been a front runner for most of the Race All-Star Series. Peyo Peev was in the very first Race All-Star Battle, as it was known then, right at the middle of March, and Peev not really anywhere in Monaco, a 27th and a 12th, but a 6th and a 9th at Indianapolis, and looks as though he's going to finish this with a top 5 finish in the GT3s. Here's David Brabham then. He's in 9th place at the moment, and he's going to try and get past Petter Solberg here, and should do fairly straightforwardly. Then he'll turn his attention to Tom Coronel, and that could put him up into 7th place. So he's not totally out of the running here, Brabham. Is he, Matt?
Just doing the updated math quick.
Oh, sorry, I'll say a few more words. Let's go to Matt now with the update.
So I think if Montoya finishes where he is, he finishes on 248 points. That would put him where Brabham was in 9th. He would have been at 236. But those 2 positions gain him a further 8 points. So that actually means that he would be 4 points back of Montoya on 244 at this point. So Montoya still has it, but watch out, because if Brabham gets a few more, or if Montoya's tires are going, that could change.
Yeah, if we get the position where Brabham gets up to 7th and Montoya drops behind Priaulx to 5th, then I think things will change quite considerably. Less than 8 minutes to go.
just to consider that as well, remember there's a pending penalty to Alonso, which could have changed points from the sprint races. And if you consider that Montoya was angry and had to go into pits at the end of that race, maybe that's 3 or 4 points that he lost that he could have used right now.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Mistake from Petter Solberg on the exit of Mulsanne as they were trying to get past one of the LMP3 cars. And is that going to allow Brabham up and through? We're on board here now with Brabham. Petter Solberg to the left of him. Coronel seems quite a way up the road, I have to say. I can't see him with my eyes at the moment. So even if Brabham got ahead of Solberg, it would be quite a way, I think, to catch up with Tom Coronel. And he's not able to get... Oh, now he's got the cutback. Nicely done there from Brabham. And Solberg drops down into 9th place. So next target for Brabham is Tom Coronel in 7th position.
That was a move of a Le Mans veteran, that was, against a Le Mans rookie with Petter Solberg. He's having another good day, racing with these guys who know this place like the back of their hand. But yeah, Brabham just hugging the inside there, setting up Indianapolis, knowing full well that Solberg was probably going to sell himself too deep in and not be able to exit. That's exactly what happened. So another place for David Brabham. And for him, it's just whether Montoya makes a mistake, gets involved in a tangle with Priaulx, who's still not that far ahead of him, or with any of these other back markers who they're going to have to deal with as well.
Mike Epps leading the way in the GT3 class. He's got Yuri Kasdorp in behind him. There you can see Epps working pretty hard at the wheel, isn't he? In that machine out in front. Kasdorp in 2nd position.
You're spot on about giving Epps credit as well for his improvement, but just to note one more battle very quickly. Canapino versus Roland. Winner of the race essentially takes it. Whoever beats the other essentially walks away as the champion. That gap's not really come down since Canapino got into 2nd place, so with 6 minutes left, at this point, all Roland has to do, and we talked about his consistency, is hang on.
Oh, someone's in the gravel there further back, and that caught out Jajovski, and that means Peyo Peev is through. It was Gabi Chavez who was getting in the way of all these GT3 cars. And that means that Peev has managed to get back in front of Jajovski, but it is still Mike Epps, the Zansho Simsport racer, who is out in front. Jajovski in 4th now, behind Peev in 3rd. 5th is Dawid Mroczek. Jordan Wisniewski, race 1 winner, only down in 7th place, hasn't made a huge amount of progress. Risto Kappet, Nuno Pinto and Jan van der Heijden complete the top 10. This is what happened here to Peev, with Gabi Chavez in front.
Chavez 2 cars ahead, and it was 2 of them that went off. Well, it was Chavez and then Jajovski followed him, basically, and Peev just cruised straight through. It's just the benefit of being quick through the traffic. That's Canapino closing up on Roland, I think.
I thought it was Roland and Canapino right together, but it's actually Roland and Barrichello right together, isn't it? So Oliver Roland, are they... I presume Barrichello's just lapped him, hasn't he? Yeah, right. So there we go. A bit less exciting. The gap has come down a little bit to 2.4 seconds between Roland and Canapino, but still Rubens Barrichello comfortably out in front. Roland looking fairly comfortable, you have to say, in the Pro Cup. 4 minutes left on the clock, so I think Barrichello might be... Yeah, 2 more laps. You're right.
Probably.
Possibly. It's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, it depends how quickly Barrichello is going to get through. But then, of course, a lap less for everyone else who's been lapped. But Barrichello he's been on it, hasn't he? From the word go, It's a shame we didn't see him properly in their heat. What he could have done against Fernando Alonso, because he's just been so steady out front, built up a big lead, plus 10 seconds to Chandok. And he's just been solid, no mistakes, clean through the traffic. He's been very, very impressive. It's a shame for him that we don't have Alonso to compare him against in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be the final lap, that he's about to start, Rubens Barrichello. He's coming through the chicanes. We'll wait for confirmation on it. I
think you're right. This is
Brabham's just got to 7th place. Brabham's just gone up 4 more points, so that brings the gap from 248 for Montoya to 244 for Brabham. So if anything happens potentially on this last lap, or if there's one more,
and there's only half a second between Priaulx and Montoya. There's only half a second between Priaulx and Montoya. So if Priaulx gets ahead of Montoya,
they tie. And I think Brabham wins it on countback, because Brabham actually won a race this season. Montoya hasn't. He's been second most of the time.
Yeah. So we have got Rubens Barrichello out in front. This is what happened to Tom Coronel, and he's made the mistake. Coronel has made a mistake, and that's why Brabham has gained the positions. So this is going to be intense now, and Montoya is right behind Servia. So the situation is this: if Montoya goes behind Peyo, then we think Brabham will win the title, having won at Indianapolis last time out. Wow.
And I will say, pending the penalties that could still be applied, but right now that's how the points would work.
So Rubens Barrichello is leading the race. We think this is the final lap. Servia is making his way through the back markers. It is the final lap of the race then, and this is going to be so intense. And Montoya's into the back. Montoya spins and he's collected by Peyo, but crucially stays in front of Andy Peyo as they come down the Mulsanne again. Goodness me, this is going to be stressful.
He got so close to Oriol Servia, didn't he? And then just a little bit of contact, a spin. Crucially for him, I don't know if he knows how crucial that was, but he kept Peyo behind. There's just half a lap left. Peyo in the big slipstream. Is he going to have a lunge down at the second chicane? No, but he'll have another chance at the hairpin coming up right now. And Montoya has lost the slipstream of Oriol Servia.
So this was the replay on board with Peyo. Montoya just tapped the back of Servia. Big slide, and Peyo just couldn't find the way through. And that was the moment for Brabham to win the championship. But it's not all over yet. They're away from Servia, but they've got a LMP3 car in there. Just trying to see who that is. Montoya's getting held up a little bit. Andy Peyo is right behind him now as they pull out, coming down the next straight towards Indianapolis and then Arnage. Rubens Barrichello is leading the way. A dominating drive from the Brazilian, but who is going to become the Legends Trophy winner? 35 minutes to go. Peyo has a look. They make contact. Peyo gets through somehow. They're going past Oliver Rowland, the race leader, and then Peyo lunges it, coming down into the left-hander at Indianapolis, and Peyo is up into 4th place. Montoya drops to 5th, and with Brabham in 7th. Oh no, he's hit him. Montoya and Peyo both slide off the circuit, and Montoya's back up into 4th and in championship winning position. That is going to be a controversial one, Jolien.
Yeah, dare I say it, but I'd be amazed if he keeps that one. The one down to Indianapolis was bad enough, putting Peyo wide on the grass, but then that was a pretty much just sent Peyo down at Arnage, tapping the back, and off Peyo went to the barriers. I think that might be David Brabham's championship.
But here comes Rubens Barrichello to win the Legends Trophy race, the endurance race at Le Mans in the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. The season finale wrapped up with a win for Barrichello, but it's going to be Juan Pablo Montoya across the line, who, as it stands, will win the championship in the Legends Trophy. Will that result stand? We'll have to wait and see, because there was some controversy on the final lap. But Montoya in 4th has had a good season, and you can see he is not celebrating. Rowland across the line to win the Pro Cup and to win the overall Pro Cup standings, almost getting the Triple Crown as well. And here's Yuri Kasdorp. He's going to win the Sim Masters, but is he going to win the race? Because Mike Epps has just slipstreamed past him on the final lap. Kasdorp trying to find a way through into the Mulsanne kink and then onto the, apologies, that was coming into Indianapolis. Epps might win this one, you know.
There's not an obvious overtaking place left for Kasdorp unless he Montoya's it here, which he doesn't, very close to the back of Mike Epps, but without sending him into the wall. Now a bit of a run up to the Porsche curves. Epps just gently swaying to try and break the toe for Kasdorp, and this is it. 45 minutes coming down to the last few corners. We're going to go side by side.
Epps keeps to the right. Kasdorp to the outside. Epps holds the inside. Kasdorp can't hold it. Epps is still in front for Zansho Simsport. A few more corners to go. Still lying in 3rd place is Erhan Jajovski, but he's 1.4 seconds back. Whatever happens, Kasdorp is going to win the Sim Masters element of the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. But Mike Epps, in what has been a phenomenal drive from this real-world racing driver, up against some of the fastest sim racers. No, he's up against the fastest sim racers in the whole of the world. And Epps comes out of the final corner to win at Le Mans.
Oh, he's pumped.
What a surprising, impressive, superb drive from Mike Epps to win in the GT3 Sim Masters element of the race. Now, here's a look at the replay. On board with Peyo. What do we make of this, Jolien?
Right, well, that was bad from Montoya in the first place. I think he might have been trying to get the slipstream from the LMP3 ahead.
It was Roland, yeah.
Yeah, Roland, and maybe didn't realise Peyo was there, but he would have known Peyo was here. And let's see this one, bam. Oh, and off goes Andy. Wide through the gravel, just about keeps it out of the wall, but that's a slam dunk penalty. I'm sorry. I think Montoya knew what was at stake with that. It felt like he did, the way he was driving, and it's just not up for debate, I don't think, that one.
Well, Rubens Barrichello takes the win. Montoya finishes fourth, but he's going to be under investigation. It could be Brabham that wins the title. Karun Chandhok finishing in second. Very good drive from him. Oriol Servia in third spot. Yuri Kasdorp, the winner in the Sim Masters, and Oliver Rowland, the winner in the Pro Cup. We'll have all the reaction when we come back in a few minutes to what was a really cool way to end the race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. A nice endurance event around Le Mans. We'll be back in a few minutes.
So much to discuss, and inevitably we will. Before I even get into the can of worms, because there's a bunch to discuss in terms of points, in terms of provisions, in terms of penalties, let's talk to the man who didn't have a hard time with any of that. Rubens Barrichello just drove away at the front, didn't he, Jack?
Yeah, what a superb drive that was from Rubens. We can speak to him now. Rubens, congratulations. You were very happy when you came across the line. That was a dominant win. I'm afraid we can't hear you at the moment, Rubens. Can you hear me? Okay. We can't hear you. Sorry. We'll try and come back to you in a couple of moments' time. Can we hear you now? No. We'll sort that out and we'll come back to you. Sorry about that, Rubens. Yeah, a dominant win though, nevertheless. But the championship. Firstly, it's a shame Rubens hasn't been with us the whole of the season, isn't it? Because he managed to do that one race, and then I think he was in somewhere with dodgy internet or something and couldn't keep continuing. But he would have given Alonso a run for his money. That was wise words that you said in the commentary, Matt. And yeah, I don't even know where to start with the Montoya Brabham stuff.
I don't even know where I started. The amount of mathematics I was doing and calculators I going on my phone and on the screen for different classes. When Brabham got up into seventh and Montoya, we saw he was struggling throughout. I thought there was a real chance Peyo could get him. And obviously there was a real chance. Now it depends on, first off, what happens to penalties in the first race with Alonso. We'll find out how those are applied. And second off, what's the penalty in this race? Does he concede the position to Peyo? Is it a time penalty? They had a gap to the man that would have been further back in sixth. It's going to be either a 4-point win for Montoya or potentially a tie. And I think on the countback, Brabham wins that, Jolien. So it's tight. I mean, what a finale.
Yeah, and how quickly are we going to know that result from the stewards? They've got a lot of work to do to try and decide the champion in this. And both races really up for debate with Montoya particularly.
Well, this next person we're going to talk to is provisionally our champion as well of the pro drivers category. But as much as it looked easy at the front today for him, 2 wins, it wasn't necessarily that, because Canapino closed down by 1 second over the last 2 laps. And again, whoever won between the two of them, Jack, would have won overall. So Ollie Rowland, how much pressure was he under?
Well, let's find out, shall we? Ollie, champion in the Pro Cup. Congratulations. Really impressive drive. How much pressure were you feeling at the end? You're quite a chilled guy. I wouldn't have thought you were too stressed at the end, but Canapino was closing in. Okay, we can't hear from you at the moment, Ollie. We'll try and get back to you a little bit later on. So at least that suggests the problem might have been our side, not Rubens' side. So sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd love to hear more from his perspective again, because he had the pace up front. Tires are another thing I want to ask about from both drivers. And the pace was interesting as well, because obviously Rubens lapped the entire field of the other 2 classes, not the entire LMP2 class, obviously, but we saw him pass the lead car in LMP3, whereas the others mix and mingled a bit. And obviously there was some mistakes to account for that. But Kasdorp, obviously not winning, had the easiest time in terms of a point lead. And for him, pretty good day in the office in the Corvette.
It was clean, wasn't it? He did it in qualifying. He was so far ahead of Patel, Duval in qualifying. He just kept it clean. He clearly wanted to beat Epps in that final bit. I mean, side by side through the Porsche curves is brave to say the least. But Epps was just fantastic to hold on. But Kasdorp's the champ.
He is indeed. Well, that's at least the provisional results. We'll talk more about them in just a second when we come back. Well, yeah, it's so much to talk about even still beyond that. I mean, the carnage at the starting lap, I think I spotted Soper getting sideways, and I thought that potentially he took out the row behind, which would have been both Alonso and obviously Dillman. Dillman never really got going in this race, unfortunately. It turns out it was two separate incidents, and in both cases, it seemed like the innocent party was the one that suffered the most, Jolien, and I guess that's kind of what we expected with the mixed class start.
That was always going to be the thing, and I have to say, we're looking at a championship fight between Brabham or Montoya pending penalties. But, I mean, Alonso's pace in that first race would have been frightening over 45 minutes. I'm sure he would have been right up there with Barrichello, probably ahead. So he was particularly unlucky there to be taken out in that first moment accident. But also Dillman, starting from the front row, he had a chance to win it as well. And we didn't really see what happened, but he was just drilled into the wall within seconds. So he was starting at the front next to the back of the legends. And we said it before, that's a pretty sketchy place to be sometimes.
I think it's almost difficult. You know, I'd rather be in the middle of my own class where the pace is similar, but the front of a class facing the I don't know, maybe the more risky drivers at the back of another, you can't let off and let space because someone's going to overtake you anyway. So you kind of have to get involved with that fight you may not want, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and we saw that evolve as the race progressed anyway, didn't we? When the sort of Lappery got involved and the GT3 cars were fighting with the P2 cars, we were having that kind of action as well. And then right at the end with Montoya and Peyo battling, they were trying to go either side of Ollie Rowland, who was leading in the P2 class. So that added element to it is what we were kind of looking for, really, with this endurance race.
You bring another point to the pressure as well with Ollie Rowland, Jack, that maybe you can touch on, because you're right, and I completely let that slip. He was the one involved in that mix-up in the pro category, which if he had been taken out by either of them, Canapino would have walked to the victory and the championship in the pro drivers. So that could have been tense. I said he lost a second over the last lap. That's probably where it was.
Yeah, it probably was, to be honest, wasn't it? And we see that's the kind of thing, you know, all of the chats that you've been having and the references you've been making to Rockefeller and his crash at Le Mans and that kind of thing, it all comes when you're trying to pass a slower car. Think of that huge shunt Alan McNish had when he tried and lunge it up the inside of a GT car down at coming through the S's, and that was a biggie for McNish. And he's had some big crashes in his time, ruined 130R for us, but like that is a great example of how it happens in the real world as well as in sim racing.
Well, it's the toughest part of Le Mans well, it's one thing having the pace, but it's all about dealing with traffic. And you can put it on pole, you can do what you like in qualifying. It's important, to have the raw pace, obviously. But I've never raced endurance, but speaking to other drivers that have, dealing with traffic, being quick through traffic, diving on the inside and not dawdling behind slower cars for too long, that's critical. But obviously you risk it too much, you end up in the wall. We saw that with a couple of people, and that's where Rowland, just as you say at the end there, could have been taken out in that other fight with the legends at the end.
And it's not just
we saw it happen with Archie Hamilton, didn't we? In the battle for the lead in the GT3s.
And it's that part of that is not even just that you're in a battle and have it with slower cars. Sometimes the slower cars are also in a battle. And although the blue flags come out and they're supposed to concede, any competitive driver is not going to give away that advantage if they think they have a shot at overtaking. And it gets a little awkward. So you're absolutely right. And there's been more incidents than this, that. I think Anthony Davidson had a similar one at night where he was tripped up by a GT car and put into the wall. So yeah, definitely difficult. I think Le Mans, we didn't do it at night. That might have been even more difficult to manage for some of these guys, but that's
or in the wet.
It's super different. Yeah. I like, let's do it in the wet next time. I'm down for that. But yeah, that would have been super chaotic. I think the tables are almost ready. So hopefully we'll get to take a look at those. Overall, though, I mean, anyone that stood out, we'll get to the official driver of the day in a second, Jolien. So I'm going to lean to Jack a little bit. Anyone that kind of stood out for you?
I think it's got to be Oliver Rowland for me. I know we're not doing the official driver of the day thing yet. We'll do that with the lovely little sting for Jolien later on. But I don't think it's him or Rubens for me. I think I would have to go with Rowland because he just dominated. Okay, he didn't take pole, but second on the grid, win 2 races, win the Pro Cup on the way, winning 2 out of the 3 of the Triple Crown. It's difficult to look past him.
Absolutely the case. Well, Rocket Phones doesn't just power the All-Star Series. They also have a new, I guess, section or segment that we've added for this season. It's the driver of the day. And today, with everyone on track, there can only be one. It feels weird that I intro that segment every time because really I have nothing to do with it. Jolien, this is all you. You're the expert. Who stood out for you?
Right, well, Rubens Barrichello, clearly the class act, but also I would say Fernando Alonso, how quick was he in that first race? But he obviously can't be him because he didn't do the main race. For me, it's not quite Oliver Rowland. It's actually Mike Epps, and I think Mike Epps in the Sim Masters category to win on the final lap with Yuri Kasdorp side by side through the Porsche curves. He's a real life racer, racing with the absolute best there is, and he won it. Unbelievable stuff. So unfortunately for Rowland, I think he got trumped by Mike Epps just.
Well, I think, and that's a great shout as well, because he obviously did super well against very, very unformidable competition. I would say as well, he's in a Zancho car that's got my logo on the side of it somewhere, Jack. Maybe that had something, I'm going to say that had something to do with it. A little, 10 extra horsepower for every vinyl. Is that how it works in a Honda Civic?
Is that a big money deal? Is that?
Big, huge money deal. It was just a matter of asking and me saying yes.
No, I don't like those Zancho cars. They're my they're my nemesis in the touring car championship. The Zancho boys hate them.
Well, I guess it's the only way. If you can't beat them, hate them. I think that's the way it works, right, Jack? Here's our provisional points. We said it was going to be 1 point for Roland, Jack. It ended up being that in the end.
Yeah, really strong performance from Oliver Rowland. 1 point ahead of Canapino in the championship. Such a shame for Delman getting wiped out at the start there. So it is Oliver Rowland that is provisionally the Pro Cup champion. As far as the Sim Masters is concerned, in the points there, Yuri Kasdorp taking the win quite comfortably, and it was Jan van der Heide that ended up finishing in second place. Interesting to see where Patel and Liam de Waal ended up today and why they struggled so much. And provisionally in the Legends Trophy, it is going to be Juan Pablo Montoya at the top of the standings there, but 4 points clear of David Brabham. We aren't 100% sure that is how it's going to stick.
Well, incredible season, amazing racing. Follow at We Are The Race or check out the-race.com because we will have a season 4 and the dates will be announced. We can't wait to see you then. It's been amazing all the way through. Thank you for the 15 weeks and we'll see you next time. The beauty of live streaming is we can do whatever we want now. We get to keep going for all of you that have thankfully joined us online because there's so much to talk about. Obviously, season 4 sounds fantastic off the top of this, but taking a bit of a break. Obviously, you guys are going to be back in the Formula One world next week.
Yeah, looking forward to that. As if we haven't had enough of each other.
It's going to
after
feel
15
weird
weeks.
now, isn't it? It's going to feel weird watching real cars out there instead of the virtual world. Need to readjust.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Listen on the BBC Sport website or the Formula One app. Don't know if I'm allowed to plug that, but there we go.
Well, you've done it now.
Sack me. The series is over.
I didn't mention who it was or where you were doing it. I just said you were, so that's not on me. Please and thank you. Fired just them. We are going to get some reaction from drivers here in a second. I'm sure not only to just this race, but also the season as a whole. Maybe what it was like to do 45 minutes instead of a sprint race, how that changed things for both tires and mentality. What kind of practice went into this? I mean, there's so many factors. And as we say, after 15 weeks, these guys are definitely obviously we had some drivers come in and out. Not everyone was here that whole time, but we had a lot of people get used to things, how the sim worked, how their new equipment worked. Jack, I mean, it definitely is a new world in a lot of these ways, but it's a world that I think that you, coming from sim and myself following it as I have, we've known all along the potential was here.
Yeah, and it's been really nice watching the drivers get into it, because so many drivers kind of not poo-poo it. That's not quite the right phrase, but it's a bit like, I think they haven't understood the benefits of it. Not benefits, but like the detail of it. And I think a lot of them that we speak to are like, actually, this is really in-depth and really interesting and really something to get involved with. You're not playing Mario Kart. You're not sitting on your sofa playing FIFA. It is kind of a very similar discipline. You know, playing FIFA or Madden or whatever American people or Canadian people play is like
NHL.
Not the same. NHL, exactly. Yeah, of course. It's not the same as playing the real life sport. Whereas sim racing, you are doing the same thing. Obviously, it doesn't. It's not as hard. It's not as physically demanding. It's not as dangerous. It's all of those things. But the actual inputs and actions are the same. Basically.
Yeah, I always say that flight simulator might be the only thing similar, but in the sporting world, sim racing is the closest and the easiest to therefore create an esport out of, if you will. Julian, you've obviously known sim in the F1 world and in your junior categories, and you've been around that level of sim. But what's your impression being the first time you've commentated on sort of the esports side of it?
Oh, look, I've loved it. I've really enjoyed it. And I think we talk about technological advances. I started this one in like dwindling light in a house or a shed that didn't have any light with dodgy Wi-Fi. So we're all winners here. And, I'm pleased we've done this. We've made big advancements.
I forgot about that. You sounded terrible.
I think there wasn't one entire rehearsal. We always do a rehearsal beforehand to make sure this is going to work. There's a lot of moving parts for the online, and you had to change locations in like an hour because it just didn't work in the rehearsal at all.
Well, it was my biggest race of the series.
It went dark, I think, didn't it? Anyway, let's try and speak to Ollie Rowland again, shall we? Oliver, congratulations, the Pro Cup champion of the Race All-Star Series. Was that a calm race for you, or was it a bit stressful with Canapino closing in?
I was stressful from the beginning. With the LMP2 cars, how they set off, the LMP3 cars could actually get off the grid much quicker. So there was like a bit of chaos into turn one with everybody going everywhere. But then, I slowly got into a rhythm and I had to pass Smith. To be honest, at one point I was happy to just go with him. But in the end, he started to make a few too many mistakes. So I thought I need to go now just to not risk getting caught behind. And then, I had a 3.5 second gap. And he was coming pretty quickly, and then we obviously were getting lapped by the P2 cars. So then I lost a bit of time, and then I started to get a bit stressed towards the end. But in the end, I didn't know it was the last lap, so I was just hoping there wasn't another one, to be honest.
You almost got wiped out by Montoya and Peyo at one point. They seemed to come like either side of you.
Yeah, they were having a bit of fun. To be honest, I had no idea who it was, and then they took each other out, and I was just thinking, stay away from me. But in the end, got away with it.
Okay, well, congratulations. Is that the end of your sim racing adventure, do you think? Because you got into it quite a lot over the last few weeks, but focus now on Formula E, I suppose.
Yeah, obviously, the next month or so is going to be important because we've got 6 races in 9 days. So I think the next month I'll be focusing on that, and then quite a big break. So hopefully I can get back into some stuff. But full focus on Berlin, and hopefully we can continue the trend there.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
That's true, actually, because a lot of the talk has been, what's the future of esports going to be? And there's a lot of people and a lot of drivers who are up for sort of a winter series kind of format. And Formula E, the season's going to finish in August the something. Haven't booked my flights yet.
Yeah, they got
Middle
it
of
like 8
August
races
sometime.
in 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they got nothing until sort of the middle of January. So so that's the kind of slot that you might see things kind of emerging.
Well, and even just to add to that, I mean, some of the legends that formerly didn't sim, every time we talk to them, they absolutely love it. They get to play with old friends. They get to race against people that they used to look up to and never thought they'd race, and vice versa. You know, guys like Andretti and Fittipaldi racing against some of the younger generation. Certainly been interesting to watch and very enjoyable from that perspective. I want to point out for Roland as well, winning both races today in the pro category, 150 points he maximized, and he only won by 1 point. So think about how much work he did today. That's is that one of the best championship comebacks ever, Julian?
Oh, blimey. Yes.
In sim racing, we'll give you that one maybe.
In sim racing, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, it may not have been Hamilton on Glock or anything like that. So
I think Raikkonen 07 was one of the big ones.
That's true as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Between all the differences in points and positions, and Hamilton and Alonso tripping and fighting over each other the whole time all year, that was an exciting. There was a lot of good seasons that people don't rate highly enough or don't think fondly of. I think in recent history.
Yeah.
Could this be one? I don't think so. I think we'll remember this one fondly.
Yeah.
Compared to F107.
Yeah, well, we'll see how, obviously, with real racing kicking off. The other thing, to go to your point as well, Jack, is not just drivers that are maybe going to have another off season that we can capitalize on, but when you consider, Connor Daly was involved with us last week. He's obviously already raced in the real world, and you mentioned it as well with Tony Kanaan this week. Another driver who had an incredibly good day and was happy to be back in the Brazilian colors. Pretty simple race at the front, really. Rubens Barrichello with the victory in the Legends category.
Rubens, congratulations. Hopefully we can hear you now. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the win. A dominant drive.
Hey, thank you. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're all good.
Oh, fantastic. It was I had a great time. I learned how to actually do the start with the sprint race. So I was able to get a really good getaway on the second one. On the first one was just madness. It was just crashing all everywhere. But the second, I had a lot of practice on this track. I was saying on my stream that prior to the race, to the full 24-hour, I had to improve myself, and I put up a lot of tests. And so therefore, the car was feeling good, and I was feeling good with the sim. I drove my stock car 2 days ago, so I'm up to it. So I'm doing okay now. So all good.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. A really impressive drive. Were you hoping for a bit more of a fight, maybe? It was a shame Fernando wasn't around to give you a challenge.
Yeah, well, Fernando, Andy, even Juan Pablo, I think they had good times. I mean, when I post my 24.9 in qualify, I could see that I had a little bit of margin because I was safe in quali in the way that I didn't have any cuts. I'm sure if we all go now to a racetrack that is not Le Mans, because Le Mans is very specific, I'm sure the pack will be a lot closer. But having said that, great. I mean, I won my very first one with a Brabham car so this is the second win, the second race with you guys, and it's great. I just feeling good.
I bet. Great. Well, it's been brilliant having you with us. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too, guys. Thank you so much.
See you later.
He makes a good point as well, Jack, because you said earlier, it's a shame we didn't see more of him throughout the championship. He showed up twice and he got away with 2 wins. That's as good a record as anyone, really.
Yeah, but this time he didn't show us the patio, did he? He didn't take us on his wonderful garden tour. So, look, slight disappointment at the end of a great day.
Yeah, well, the other person who obviously was successful, didn't win the championship, but very successful today, you gave him the Rocket Driver of the Day as well, Julian, and Mike Epps, guy from the pro category. That was so damn good that he's now beating the best sim drivers in the world, Jack.
Yeah, well, let's have a word with him, shall we? Mike Epps, a superb drive. Unbelievable, really. I mean, winning Jolyon Palmer's Driver of the Day, things don't get much bigger than that, do they?
I guess they don't. Can you hear me as well? All working?
Yeah.
We have to do these things now, don't we?
Yeah. Tell us about your race, because you didn't qualify super well.
No, I've really struggled with this car. The GT3 car on R Factor 2 is quite a wishy-washy, quite slippy, slidey kind of car to drive. And I've been in another race today on a different sim platform as well. So I'm doing what some of those guys previously were doing when they were doing that with Formula E and all that. And didn't really have enough laps, so I didn't qualify that well. But thanks to all of the carnage at the start, I think I wound up in third or something after starting 16th or something like that. And I thought, flipping heck, we could win this now. Who knows? And then some of my fellow pros in the P3 cars kept overtaking me and then going off, and then overtaking me and then going off. And they gave me a really good slipstream to hold out a good lead for about half of the race. So there was absolute carnage, but it was a really good race. I was laughing, sweating, everything. It was literally a full-on proper sim race, that.
Yeah, and cheering across the line as well. It's been great having you in the Sim Masters. Really cool seeing you get up to speed with the fastest gamers in the world. What's next for you in real life? Have you got a program for this year?
I didn't have a program for this year, so the last couple of years have been very difficult with the usual sort of. I guess the economy in England's not the easiest thing at the moment to work with when you're trying to get sponsorship in real motorsport, and budgets are not getting any smaller either to race. So a lot of us have fallen off the grid slightly, and I guess this has kind of aided me to buy a sim slightly earlier than everyone else before the sudden sim boom where everyone was buying them just in the start of lockdown. And I really got stuck in and did a load of sim racing, and yeah, as you can see, it's paid off really well. So I will be getting in a couple of cars this year, hopefully, but it will mainly be club racing stuff or clients' cars that I coach, as that's mainly what I do for a living at the moment, is driver coaching. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your win at Le Mans.
Cheers, Jack. We'll have to do some touring car racing sometime. I heard you talking about that earlier. So I'll come and bully you on the virtual track sometime soon, mate.
Great. Look forward to it. Bye.
I think he was probably referring to you calling out the Zancho cars specifically. So now he's definitely got it out for you.
Yeah, he has. Well, Zancho Smancho.
Well, we'll see how that goes, because I have a feeling it's not going to look good for you in the end. Nonetheless, we've got a champion in our sim category as well, Yuri Kasdorp, who's been with us for a long time in this series and gets away as the winner before we take a bit of a break.
Yeah, let's have a chat with him, shall we? Yuri Kasdorp, congratulations, Sim Masters champion. That was a good race for you, but none of the other sort of title contenders were really there in the fight with you at the end.
Yeah, the second race was quite a mess because of the start. And I had no idea where I was. I got hit. I tried to go on the inside on the gravel and I got hit. And then someone bumped me straight again and I had no idea where I was. So at first it was really, really scary because I knew I was going into it with maybe like 10 points lead. But halfway down the first lap, we figured out that I was looking pretty good for the championship and I just took it easy. And in the race, I worked together with a couple of guys and somehow managed to almost win it, just trying to keep it easy.
Yeah. What does this mean to you, winning this championship? What other sort of big series like this have you won?
It's been a while since I won like a big league. It's been races here and there, but overall I've always had some bad runs in the championship. Maybe now with a shorter championship like here, it didn't really happen. All weekends were pretty good, especially this one, and I'm really happy with it.
Great. Congratulations. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Imagine that would be quite nerve-wracking for him as well, because if as you said, Jack, the qualifying was where he did it. He had such a gap to the people he knew were his biggest threat, and then all of a sudden he's sideways and in the gravel, and he's thinking, well, damn, this is the only way this could have gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm sure it's the same in real racing, where you're just getting bashed left and right at the start, and you can't figure out where you're getting hit from, and then eventually you're going sideways. And Jolien knows all about getting wiped out at starts that aren't your fault. I'm thinking Monaco GP2 and stuff like that. And you're just like, what else? I can't think of many first lap shunts. Grosjean Sochi as well. That's another one.
Grosjean Sochi, and not many more. Very clean.
No. Very clean.
You always remember your own. Well, I'm sure there's someone else who was glad he didn't get wiped out today, because the provisional champion had a heck of a battle and seemed like maybe the tires were going away. Juan Pablo Montoya is 4 points in the lead as of right now, and maybe the champion, Jack.
Yeah, well, let's speak to him, shall we? Juan Pablo, what a busy race that was. You finished the season at the top of the championship standings, but it was very busy in the last lap with Andy Priaulx.
Well, yeah, it was tough. It was always, every time with Andy from lap 1, I think he cut turn 1. I did a really good start, and I was coming out right behind Rubens, and I got side blasted by him. And I said, okay, I lost like 5 places. It's normal, it's Legends race, always happens. And, he caught me. I made a couple mistakes. I let him go. And then we raced really hard again. And then with 2 laps to go, I caught Servi again, and he ran into from behind and spun me. But in the same time, he spun himself. So we ended up like 5 seconds behind Servi again. And I was just returning the favor.
Okay. Well, have you enjoyed the championship as a whole? It's been great watching you race and doing the Triple Crown and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like for this race, because we run Le Mans, I really did maybe 4 laps of practice this week. I did 1 yesterday, and I did about 2 or 3 today, and that was it. I didn't do any laps because we had run Le Mans a week or 2 ago, and that was enough laps. So no, but it was okay. It's tough because I was trying to be careful, and I got to Serbia. I got next to him, and he turned into me and spun me. And instead of like trying to take him out and wiping both of us out, I was trying to be smart, and I had enough. I had enough pace easily to be P2. Rubens, I think, was a little quicker, and even when we run Le Mans, he was quicker. So it's what it is. It was okay. It's a bit of a crazy day. As well, you look at the first race as well. I'm running P4, and they said you could get 2 penalties, and I got 2 penalties, and they gave me a drive-through. I'm like, why? You said we could get 2, and looks like a lot of people did as well. So I think the results from race 1 are a little off as well from what it's meant to be, from what what they told me. So we'll see. It's what it is. This is supposed to be a fun race, so we need to make sure we keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Juan Pablo. It's been great fun watching you drive for the last 10 weeks or whatever. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, thank you.
See you later.
Obviously, a great ambassador for Sim as well. He was one of the judges at World's Fastest Gamer Season 2, so supports the whole industry of Sim in that sense. Interesting as well that, like you say, it's supposed to be fun, but it's never going to be always just fun when you've got a competition on the line and a championship on the line. And I was just thinking as well, we saw him talking at one point. You guys were questioning. I wonder if he maybe had someone in the room that was keeping track of the points, because in real life, your engineer would be on the radio keeping track of your competitors for you. And I wonder if he knew where Brabham was and how close it really was at the end, Jolien.
I don't know, but it certainly sounds like he kind of took the rules into his own hands then with Andy Priaulx. I think he knew where Andy Priaulx was on the last lap. I do wonder if, Castroneves had that contact with Jourdain and then Alonso, and then he bombed across the first chicane.
Was that him that hit him?
I wonder if it was Castroneves that hit Montoya and actually maybe not Priaulx. But, who knows? The stewards are looking into it. And certainly the last lap, I think, is clearly not good stuff. But they'll look at the whole race and see what else kicked off.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what did kick off. Tons of excitement from that battle, at the very least, especially, and shout out to Brabham for getting it into 7th place. Otherwise, that whole battle may not have mattered nearly as much at the end.
Yeah, really good drive from David Brabham. Good to see him winning Indianapolis, carrying on the sort of family tradition there, and doing well at Le Mans as well, continuing his own tradition there. So he's been one of the really cool guys. He's just a cool guy, David Brabham. It's just really cool to have him in the series.
He seems very chilled as well every time we talk to him. He seems the most relaxed and just enjoying it. Speaking of enjoying it, I've enjoyed this tremendously. I hope everyone of you guys at home has as well. Lots of entertainment. Great to see some good racing and Sim promoted as it should be over the last 15 weeks. Personally, guys, I've enjoyed working with both you, Jack, Jolien. It's been excellent. I wish you guys best of luck next week for F1 back in the real world, as boring as that sounds. But really, it's been great. And don't forget to follow at We Are The Race, as well as check out the-race.com, because we will have a season 4 We'll get the dates released. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on as well with the real world as it starts back up. And we'll get the championships released from this one. So definitely go there and check it out. Guys, I hope I see you guys for season 4 in maybe a couple of weeks' time.
I don't see why not.
Hope so.
All right. Well, we'll see you then, guys. Thanks so much.
Vettel, 4 times world champion.
It's taken more than 700 years for ABK beer to be exported from Germany, but finally, we can all enjoy it. Brewed in Bavaria to the same exacting standards since 1308, ABK Beer, awarded Supreme Champion at the International Beer Challenge, is crafted from only the very finest German barley, yeast, and hops, using the purest of alpine waters. ABK Beer, 700 years of Bavarian tradition and heritage.